Welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast. What's up, fools? What's up? What's up, man? Hope you guys been liking these podcasts we've been putting out because I've been enjoying the shit out of them. So thank you continuously for listening and checking us out at your convenience. Had a lot of people really dig the road trip, and so we're gonna, like I said, when you see the road trip entitled, you know that that's going to be a podcast that we're going to be geared more towards the riding across town, country kind of aspect of a podcast. Like, it's going to be stories about the trip, right? So thanks for checking all that shit out. Also, the last one we did with Giselle was awesome, man. It was great to finally speak with a chick on here, and I'm probably making it a bigger deal than it needs to be, but it's just cool to see growth in our podcast. Very thankful for all your guys' support and all of you that share it on Instagram and say that you dig it, and keep doing that because it helps us grow this. Really trying to move forward with this podcast, man. I'm really at a point now, as we get closer to being done with all these projects, to where I really want to spend more time doing this podcasting stuff. And so for that to be possible, we really need the support of you guys, whether it's through Patreon or just through the support of sharing this stuff on your social media. If you dig it, if you like the podcast, let someone know. You know what I mean? Just let someone know in your audience so that they might be able to check it out and find some kind of happiness or some value in it, I guess you would say. So if not, man, if you just want to support us with $1 a month, that's all it takes, man. $1, will help. It will add up over time. And next thing you know, this might be something that we can spend doing more during the week and travel more to get more better shit and just keep growing it with new ideas and things like that. That's the goal. And that's what I want to do with this thing, man. And so I need the support of you guys. So if you're interested in doing any of the Patreon stuff, man, go to our website, fastlifegarage.com. On the front page, there's a link to our Patreon. There's also a link to our YouTube. Like I said, once we're done with all this work and we're back caught up, I'm really interested in starting to do some type of video work, just video shit, just whether it's just the work that we're doing, the shit we got going on, or just shooting the shit, just like we do on these podcasts. But it's going to happen. It's just taking time because I'm, in some cases and some days I'm a one-man show. Sometimes Jesse's, helpful. Sometimes he's, not. So it's just tough. But like I said, we are taking this thing as far as that we can go, and with your support on Patreon or just subscribing to our YouTube channel, it's going to help us grow this in one way or another. So we appreciate it either way. You know what I mean? Even if you can just share it on your Instagram, that feels great as well. This podcast is brought to you by Texas Performance MC. This dude Mark, man, it's my shit. He helped me a lot getting my bike done, which I think I talked a little bit about it in the last podcast where when we spoke with Giselle, I was in the middle of putting it back together. But Mark kind of walked me through how to adjust the push rods, and I was able to do it myself, and I'm pretty fucking proud of it. So I'm thankful for Mark. Thank you for the step by step you did. It ended up being right, and I'm fucking proud of myself and proud that I have friends like you. You know what I mean? So check out Mark, man. Texas Performance MC. He's down in Cedar Park, Texas. Full dyno service, tuning, and performance. Everything you want to do to your bike or need to get done to your bike, he's got the fucking tools, the know-how, and the desire to do it. So check Mark out, TexasPerformanceMC.com, and on IG. Fuck with your boys. Also, Paint Hut for Metal Flake. Obviously, huge supporter of us, whether it's just through our Facebook and Instagram because we're Team Paint Huffer, or just because they're helping us keep this podcast monetized to where we can afford to do this stuff. So thanks to Paint Huffer. If you ever need some flake or you ever want to check out some good shit, you can always go to Paint Huffer Metal Flake on IG and check out their vast team of artists that put some amazing shit down on canvases of all sorts with their flakes and their pearls and their other products that they sell. And if you want to start trying to do some shit yourself, go to painthuffer.com. Check out all the work that, or all the flakes and pearls and other paint products like FBS tapes and things that they sell, and check and just buy it from them. Buy it from somebody that's actually supporting people in this industry. You know what I mean? So that's my dude. Please fuck with those guys. Also, Horsepower Inc. they're obviously doing some big shit up there. They've built that fucking fat bob for the 115th up at Harley, which they're, done with it to my knowledge, but thing's a fucking beast. I can't imagine how fast that fucking thing is, but check them out. If you're not following them on Instagram, you can't see all the cool shit they're doing, so check them out at Horsepower Inc. on Instagram. It's Horsepower Inc., all one word. Also, horsepowerinc.net if you need to go get some throttle bodies, air cleaners, some swag, I think they're working on exhaust systems as well too. And on Facebook, if you want to follow them, it's Horsepower Inc. Indy on Facebook. Obviously, they're known for the big bore throttle bodies. Their shop is dope as fuck. Super nice dyno. Very fucking eat off the floor type of mechanical performance tuning type shop. Like, it's fucking nice in there, and the dude's Jimmy and all the crew he has up there, they're fucking knowledgeable. They really dig horsepower, which is why they're called Horsepower Inc. But check them out, man. They're doing some cool shit up there. And also, if you're in the Indian area, you can always go through and get your shit tuned, dialed in, fixed up, customized, whatever. They don't really post that they build a lot of bikes, but the ones that they have, they're fucking sick. So check them out. Also, Hard Drive. Check out Hard Drive, American V-Twin products. They're, like I've said in previous podcasts, they're pretty much just like Drag Specialties. It's just that their own market, their own brand, and their own style of products. You know what I mean? You can check them out at hdtwin.com. Hard Drive Parts on Instagram. You can see a lot of the different brands that they sell through their catalogs. And if you're a shop and you sell any type of V-Twin products, you should be selling Hard Drive 100%. I mean, you got to have the variety of things to sell to your customers. And not everybody's going to want, what you can get out of drag. It's always good to have drag as well. But, Hard Drive's a new guy on the block, and they're completely... They're building their catalog. They're bringing in new products. They're bringing in products from the companies that, like, I know our culture, our Dyna, FXR kind of performance culture, they are pushing that stuff. So check them out. Hard Drive Parts on Instagram, hdtwin.com. They're the shit for sure. This podcast is going to be a good friend of mine. His name's Adam Garley. He did a really awesome podcast with Danger Dan a couple weeks back or a month back, and it was really good. You really get to see and hear who he is and where he came from and his long history in the motorcycle culture, so I don't know what we're going to talk about today. It might just be shooting the shit, but I wanted you to hear this guy, and I wanted my audience to know who he is. He's been a big help. He helped me get my Dyna done, my blue one from a couple years ago. He helped me get my FXR done, and he's always been there to help me out. So I just want you guys to hear who this guy is and hopefully follow him online. It's Garleys Garage. They're out in North Fort Worth, and he's a good dude. So here, check him out, guys.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
I wanted him to be the one that was, it was his thing, and but then it turned into my thing, and now here we are. So, well, shit, we're going. So,
Cool.
what were we just talking about? Oh, my brother. Yeah. No, it was cool. Like we were, you were telling me about, like the shop that you had, like when you came back and you wanted to start doing things, and let's pick up right there, because like I said, you did the podcast with Dan, and your whole story was pretty much well documented in that, but I know that there's segues off that story that we could talk about, and like I said, you were just talking about it, like how
Well, it was, me and my wife got married, and I decided to have my second batch of kids.
Second batch.
Because now, today I have a 20, as of 2 days ago, I got a 22-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 5, and a 6-year-old. So the other two were raised by their moms, and that kind of sucks when
Are they
you're
all girls?
No, just the oldest one's a boy.
Oh, the oldest one's a boy?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I haven't talked to him since he was 10.
Damn.
Yeah, so I was a kid.
Having a kid?
I was 21 when I had him, so I wasn't really a kid. But we didn't get along. Him and his mom, me and his mom didn't get along, so Basically, I took her to court just to protect my rights as a father, not to take them from her. Her dad and her family didn't want nothing to do with that. They thought I was trying to take them from them. And so it was just a lot of court battles, and I was a grown man at 21, and my dad was there for me, to support me and help me find a good attorney, but it was out of my pocket to pay for this shit. Yeah. And I'm battling her dad. This guy's 40 some odd years old, 45 years old, works at White Sands Missile Range, making big bucks and shit like that. He doesn't do anything, doesn't have any hobbies. He goes to work and he goes home. So he's got a nice bank account, so here I am, a kid trying to fucking compete against that. Well, fuck, there's only so much I could do, and doing dirt bikes and shit like that. So it was just like I didn't have the money. So it wasn't that I gave up, but it was just like I got tired of going to court all the time. So then I guess I gave up my rights, I guess. But I still paid for him every month, but never got to see him. So it was just kind of a big bullshit thing. But anyways, so when I married my wife, I think that was right when shortly after, what the hell is it called? That car plate, Unique Performance, when they went out of business, and I left that job. I was basically.
So you were working at Unique over there in Dallas, that place, because wasn't Jeff Thornton was the airbrush guy there, and Chendo. Is that the place that was doing they were doing all those custom sport bikes and shit? And
No. Unique Performance was, they did the Mustang? Eleanor cars.
Oh, that's right, the Mustangs. Yeah,
Eleanors and stuff like that. And we built me and my boss, which was Jason, that I worked for with that Rucker. So we built that Challenger or Challenger. Shit, I can't remember. Anyways, so. We took it to.
Is it a Ford?
No, it was a Dodge. But we took it to Bear Jackson. It did like 375.
Damn.
But so when I left there, I was just doing stuff out of the house, at the time. Yeah. And then my dad was wanting me to buy a shop, and we were kind of like, okay. Actually, I think we were just about to get married. And so my wife was like, buy the shop. And so I was like, yeah, you know what? If we're going to settle down, we're going to get married, we're going to have kids, like, the steady income is service and maintenance. So that's what I did, is I bought the shop from my dad, and I had it about 4 years, and I thought that was going to be my thing, and it was just going to be, no big deal. Everybody wants to do service maintenance shop and be around Harleys and stuff like that. And everything was going good, and I was busy, but trying to find help was real hard. I had hired a couple of guys, and that shit didn't work out. And actually, I ended up letting go of my dad's employees, because as soon as we started the business, I was like, kept complaining that he wasn't making money. And then I took the books to my banker to see him. He's like, that shop makes money. I don't know where it's going, but that shop's got a lot of potential to make money. I'm like, well, shit. And I was like, you in? I'm in. I'll give you the loan. Cool. So I couldn't figure it out. Well, then it started adding up real quick. I was like, his rent is like crazy high, because he was right on Davis Boulevard. He was in this old ass shop that they thought was worth so much, but my dad had roots there, so he's afraid to leave. So that was his biggest thing, is he's like, if I go somewhere, nobody's gonna know where I'm at, and nobody's gonna find me, and this and that. And I'm like, you have a good reputation. So the rent was one of the things, and then his employees, he had flag hours, billable hours, and they could make so much, but he always had like a minimum. So if they were going along and it didn't seem like they were going to do that much more than their minimum, they'd just start fucking around back there. And I'm like, oh, no, that's not going to work. So then payroll changed and everything like that. And so then they ended up leaving because they couldn't make money. Once I offered them more money per flag hour with no minimum, and then they jumped all over it. But then when they started having comebacks and stuff like that, then, they started jumping ship. So that was the end of that. And then it was just hard. And then just like you have that creative side.
Yeah.
And it's like that shit just gets so old. Like all these kids would come into the shop. My dad ended up starting to work at it wasn't MMI, it's one of the little community ones that was around the corner.
Like Lincoln Tech or some shit like that.
Something like that, but it was a local one.
Okay.
And he was teaching the motorcycle mechanics part of it. And he would bring them over like on a field trip, and they'd walk in, they'd see my chopper, my bagger, and my buddy's, sledgehammer, my buddy's that red bike that I love. And they would see all that shit, and they're like, yeah, that's what I want to do, And I'm like, yeah, that's cool and all, but here's the deal. So I'd walk them outside, and they'd walk right past all the cool bikes that I was working on, doing engine work and stuff like that, and I'd walk them and I'd show them outside, and I'd show them all the tires. Big old rack of fucking old tires, and big old thing of oil, back there in the back. I was like, I do all of this first.
Yeah.
Before I could do that. And that's what's going to happen with you guys. You're going to have to do this shit work first before you start doing all the cool shit, And then the more I sat there and thought about it, I'm like, I'm fucking tired of doing this bullshit. Those kids need to be doing it.
Yeah.
I want to do the cool shit. So that's when, and then, 3 years into owning it, my dad passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And getting phone calls and shit like that. And then, about, hey, tell your dad I said hi. And it's just like, fuck. Like, all I wanted to do is go in the back of the shop and cry. Or people would call, like, this tradition cycle? Yeah, let me speak with Lorenzo. And it's just like, fuck. Like, I couldn't take it. And I was getting pissed off at all the jobs. I didn't want to fucking do them because they're bullshit jobs. I want to be more creative. And I was slowing down on that stuff to do like custom bars and stuff like that, just to keep me going and entertained. And then finally my wife is like, just sell it. So a friend of mine, Tony, he was at one point, he was going to buy the shop from my dad, and something fell through. And then I hit him up, and he's like, man, if you can hang out till the end of the year, I got an investor. He could pull some money out from his CD, and we'll make it happen. And I was like, all right, sure. You just roll your eye like, okay. And then it was like November. He's like, are you ready to do it? I'm like, are you serious? He goes, yeah, hell yeah. So sold the shop, got rid of the loan, made some money on the shop, and opened up Garleys Garage, and wasn't sure what I was going to do.
So the other shop you were in down the street from here, that was the place you went to after?
Right after, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so when did you start kind of like, I mean, back when you built that chopper for that TV show thing, like...
05?
Yeah, 05-ish, and then you got the shop.
That's actually when I was like, fuck it, I'm out of bikes. I fucking hate bikes.
Yeah,
I hate bikes. The biggest thing was, the issue was with, it sucks to say it, but my brother kind of like sparked that. And people around the city here they're getting all these killer jobs, and they're fucking doing like big builds for $80,000 chopper build and stuff like that, and they're farming everything out to everybody.
Yeah,
like my brother, he would hire this guy to come in. I can't think of his name. He worked at Misfit and a few other places, but he'd come in with this block of foam, and he'd like sculpt out this tank how my brother wanted it to float. Basically, it was an Eddie Trotta tank, like all my brother's bikes. If you look at his bikes and Eddie Trotta, they're like replicas. But he would like shave it all out, and then he'd ship it out, and it'd go to somewhere in Phoenix. I don't know who was doing them in Phoenix, and then it'd come back, and there's a gas tank, and then he would have a local fabricator go and weld the tabs onto the backbone of an Eddie Trotta frame or a Rolling Thunder frame or whoever made them for Eddie Trotta. So it was like that shit, like it pissed me off that there's all these people being called builders and getting like exclusive, like, here, we're going to put you front row over here, and we're going to do this for you and do that for you. And all they're doing is they're basically general contractors. They're not even builders. You know what I mean? It's true. A general contractor, he shows up, he makes the deal, and then he has all these Mexicans or white guys or whoever the hell he can find do all the work, and then he gets the paycheck at the end, and he pays them their little shit, and then he makes all the money. So that shit fucking irritated me. So I was done with bikes. I was actually in a mortgage company when I saw that TV show come on, and they're like, what do you think of this and that? So I fucking started ranting on this thing, like, fuck that, and if you can't build it, then you ain't shit, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And
how old were you at the time?
Fuck, dude. I couldn't even tell you. What was that, in
I feel
05?
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't know.
Dude, I've been working on this podcast for myself, talking about my past and shit like that. Mm-hmm. And I was just, going back into my old stories, I was thinking about who I was at these times, and I remember that I had so much more animosity and so much more like a lit fuse, like ready to go off on moment's notice to anybody that I had a whatever, you know what I mean? And I feel like nowadays when I see shit online, like I used to be the guy that's like, you know what, I'd start talking shit back on a fucking chat room or some shit, but now I'm just like, even when people say shit on my Instagram sometimes, which rarely happens, but every once in a while it does, I'm not like gonna go in there and try to,
right.
No, you're wrong.
Right. Keyboard warrior, is that the big thing everybody talks about? No, 31. I was born in 74, 75, so it'll be 95, 2005. So, yeah, it was like 31 when that TV show happened. So, but it was just, and they're like, dude, you come out here and do this show? I'm like, hell yeah.
So you had already knew how to weld and knew how to fabricate.
And that's the thing is if you Google my name, it'll bring up something like some kind of chat room, and it talks about, well, his dad owns a motorcycle shop and his bullshit. I'll be honest with you, if you didn't know what the fuck you were doing, you were not winning a motorcycle. All the guys that lost, they didn't know. All the guys that won knew, like Kraus. He was on the show. He was? Yeah, he was on the second season.
That's cool. Well, I knew that Kraus has been around for a while because when I talked to Brian from TPJ, he told me that, he came out, like he started building bikes back when, the early 2000s, late 99, I think is when he got his first bike. And he was telling me about, I don't know if we talked about it on air, but Kraus was kind of like, they were pretty close friends at one point and stuff like that. So
they're Northern Cali guys. Yeah. But he was pretty small time. I know his dad was like the big machinist guy, is what I heard, because they built a bike that was fucking nuts.
Remember,
dude.
I just told you a while ago about the power plant and the Hot Bike magazine? You're like, I'm reading this, and I'm like, fuck, like, this dude was doing shit back in early 2000s, or he was like I guess on a level that like some of like myself, a small guy, but
he did a lot of chopper stuff. His style, Kraus's style back in the day was a lot like Gard Hollinger's, real similar. Like he built this one bike that was all raw metal, and it was a hardtail, but it was kind of like looped in the back, and it had like swivel ends where the axle went, and then inside the frame tubing they put like lifter springs or valve springs inside there, and that was the suspension for the back of it. Yeah, it's a crazy looking bike. If you ever go back to his I don't know if he's got it on his webpage, and then he's got another one that's got like a bicycle front end, and it's got like these leaf springs off the front of the fork legs, and that was what was the suspension. Like it had an axle with leaf springs in the front and little eight fingers. And then they showed a video not too long ago of him. I think he was riding off on his Builder Bus bike.
For real?
Yeah. And it was crazy because if you look at his fabrication on that show, like he took this villain tank that was too long and like he just chopped the back end of it off and like just capped it and welded it up and cut a room for the tunnel, and like it wasn't that nice.
But yeah,
he got his bike done and built and he won, and there wasn't very many. I know first season there's 10 or 11 episodes, and there's only 3 of us that won. Me, Bill Wall, and then Joe from California, Joe Magniato or something like that. He's an iron worker guy. I follow him on Instagram. He does some badass fucking ornamental art, iron work and shit like that. Yeah, he's a badass. J Special 79 or something like that. J something Special 79. He's a badass fabricator on Instagram, and he didn't win his bike. That motherfucker built some cool shit. Crazy. So the concept
of the show was like you had to build it. And I remember you talking on Dan's podcast. It was like very primitive tools and
no,
it was good shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess
so here's the deal. So the show is you have to build a bike in 30 days. It's got to be showroom ready, and it's got to start, run, and do a burnout the day that you're done on the 30th day. Well, what they don't tell you is they subtract like a week for chrome, a week for paint, so you don't have it. Like look at the license plate Joe has on his bike that he won, and it says like 12 days. He built his bike in 12, I built mine in 13, like from the frame all the way to when it's done. So if you look at the TV show and it's going along, if you watch the first couple of days, I'm wearing the same fucking clothes. It says like day 5, and I'm still wearing the same clothes as day 1, and then then you see my clothes change a little bit, and then you'll see my a couple days the same, and then clothes change. But so the first 8 episodes were contracted with Exile Cycles. So they actually built the bikes in Exile Cycles. So they had the lathes, they had the mills, they had bike lifts, they had all of his tool. Like that's where they built bikes, was at Exile Cycle. So everything you needed to build a bike was at Exile Cycle. So on the show, there's a guy before mine he was the first. So Bill Wall built a bike in his carport. Do you know who Bill Wall is?
I've heard the name plenty of times.
Did you hear about the FXR, the Dyna with the $35,000 seat with the skulls with the eyeballs on it?
Was it the recent one just got done?
Yeah, at Born Free. It's a $35,000 seat.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but I do know. I'm thinking of one with a crazy seat on it.
There's a bike that has all these skulls on it, and there's rubies or something in the eyes of all of the skulls. Yeah, it's $35,000 for that seat.
Wow.
The seat on my bobber, if you sent it to Bill Wall to get it done, it's a $3,500 seat.
Wow.
And it's what, 15 by 8?
That's that chopper money, man. That shit was good back then.
He's still getting it. Obviously, he just got a $30,000 seat, $35,000 seat he built for that guy.
I can't even get someone to give me $35,000 to build a FXR.
But yeah. So once that fell out, like he scored a deal. Somehow they did something, so they were doing it. We were doing our builds for the end of that season in Bill Wall's carport. Yeah, it was a carport. And you'll see in the show, there's a toolbox to the left. That one was full of tools. There's a huge Mac box on the front left, empty. It's like a double-decker one.
Keep the neighbors out of it.
No, just for props, and they gave it to them. So they're like, yeah, we'll give you the tools, but, we want some advertising. Okay, send us some big toolboxes. We'll put them in the background. Well, there's 2 huge toolboxes, totally empty in the background. And then they had, like, Thick was over there. Mad Hand, have you heard of him? Do you follow him? Yeah, he was the pinstriper guy there, and he was a mechanic there, and he ended up getting hurt on second season, got his hand stuck in the mill. Ooh. Yeah, and he's got a big old zipper-looking scar. But they had him working on a bike in the corner. He was actually finishing up somebody else's bike that they didn't finish. So he was building like a West Coast Chopper Dominator looking bike with the American flag on it. And then Johnny, which was who the celebrity guest builder to come back, was Johnny. Because see, after the 8th episode, they started changing the builders, the pro builders, to watch and make sure I wasn't fucking up and all of that stuff. And then like the next season, they had like Gard Hollinger was there. Jesse Rook came out and started doing that stuff. Oh, just so you know, Jesse Rook has a lot of parts in the hard drive.
Yeah,
so
I saw that too. Yeah. What was the like? By this point, you'd already been building before. You already been around. And I know you talked about this.
Yeah,
before.
real quickly. Before I went on the TV show, I had built, and it's not that I really built it, but then I built a bike for the head chopper.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I know you're talking about, but
but what I did with that one is I learned how to use a MIG gun, so I tacked everything together and took it out and farmed it out and had a guy TIG weld it, and I admit it. I had a guy TIG weld it, brought it back, grinded it and whatever. So a lot of that stuff was kind of bolt-on stuff, welding, kind of like that West Coast Chopper I'm doing. Just some stuff's customized, and I welded tabs and stuff like that. The next one was very similar to just bought a gas tank, and I learned how to weld the tabs on and stuff like that. I didn't build any pipes or anything like that. So by the time I went on that show, it was I had built 3 bikes. I had built a Big Bear Chopper kit bike, so it wasn't really. That was kind of an assemble bike.
It's crazy. I'm realizing now that back then, like a lot of these bigger companies had kit bikes. Like
a lot of them.
Found out through Boosted Brad's podcast about how much you can like go get a West Coast Chopper frame. And in my adolescent years, I was just under the impression like if you wanted a West Coast Chopper or anything, you went there and he built you a bike. But
well, that wasn't even a kit. That's just a frame. And he didn't even build the frames. They're built at not Dayton. What the hell is it called? Who's a frame builder with the D? Damn, D's nuts. D's nuts. I don't know. They just went out of business like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I think I
remember you talking about it on Dan's podcast.
But there's other ones that was actually a kit. So you get on there and you tell them like, I want this kit, and they're like, what size motor you want? And you pick out like, you just go down this checklist of all the stuff or upgrades that you want, and they fucking next thing you know, this truck shows up with a do in the lift gate, and they drop it off in your shop, and see you later, sign here, see you later. And so Big Bear was like that. Fly Right Choppers was like that. There was another one, Sucker Punch Sally was like that. There's a few of them, and you could go in there and you tell them, okay, well, here it is. It's $7,000. You want an S&S motor? Okay, now it's $17,000. You know what I mean? Like the upgrade from the custom chrome motor to the S&S was like $6,500, $7,000 upgrade. And then you could even get a shovel head motor for it, and then they would put all the shit you need, everything, bearings and bearing spacers, neck bearings, wheels.
Do they have instructions?
Everything. No.
Like first thing, take frame out of box, stick it on this.
Nope, nothing like that.
I definitely wouldn't be able to build it then.
That was the thing. There's a lot of people that bought those things, and they were like, oh, how much for you to build it? And I just got on their website and I was like, okay, how much is it for the kit? Okay, and how much are they selling? Okay, $6,000. So I had a flat rate, $6,000, and pick one color paint.
Yeah.
And then I would just have somebody shoot one color. And that's what we did on that first one. We just did whatever that blue is right there.
Yeah, just like a cobalt
blue. Yeah, it was a cobalt blue. And I was like, yeah, well, I just want it all cobalt blue and chrome bike. I think it'll look cool. And it looked really good. And we showed it off for a little while just to kind of get that shop I was at the first shop, Texas Steel, going. And we kind of started making a name. You know, I was still Lorenzo's kid, but, you know.
So your dad already had the shop. He was already established and all that.
Yeah, my dad bought Traditions in 98.
Mm-hmm.
I moved out here in August of 2000. So, yeah, next month it'll be 18 years I've been in this business.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, crazy,
so,
man.
And then he sold it to me in, was it 11?
Was it 11?
No, 8.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it's like 7 or 8. Yeah, 7 or 8. Yeah. 7 or 8, because as soon as I bought it, the fucking market dropped.
Where were you at?
Like
when we first met, you were at that shop over here in West Fort Worth, up in north by the lake. You were at that little hole-in-the-wall shop. I remember I painted a bagger out of that.
Yeah.
The guy worked at Walmart that we were painting the bagger for. He was like a manager at Walmart or some shit. What was that shop, man? You were just like either your brother
Off the chain.
There you go.
His name was Willie. He was a car salesman. So that was right at the time. So actually, I was at my house. I saw motorcycles out front, so I'm a motorcycle guy. So I fucking roll in there one day, and I'm like looking around. He's like, can I help you? And I was like, oh, I just saw a motorcycle, so I just thought I'd come here and see it. And it's like, oh, this and that, blah, blah, blah. We start shooting the shit. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you ride or something? I was like, I spin some wrenches and stuff like that. So we started shooting the shit, and then gave my name, and I just like, oh, cool, man. All right, good luck, man. Cool. And he asked me what I was doing. I told him, I just lived down the road in Lake Worth and, you know, just working out of my garage and stuff like that, doing a little bit of bike work. And he's like, oh, that's cool. It wasn't like the next day or later that day I was working on Sledgehammer in the garage, and I'm sitting there and somebody and I lived on a dead-end street, cul-de-sac. Like, there's nobody on that street. There's no reason for anybody to go down that street. And I look, and there's this dually drive by, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And you gotta be fucking, like, he hunted me down. He kind of, like, I gave him a general idea of where my fucking house was, and he drove up and down every street, and he just happened to see, like, I had just happened to be working at the time.
Garage, yeah.
And he approached me to work for him. I was like, yeah. So I got I knew how to order all the parts, what all stuff you needed for, having a service and maintenance shop, all the filters you need, tubes, tires, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so he opened up an account with Drag. I got him going, was kind of doing some wrenching for him. I didn't want to bring all my shit there, but then next thing I know, like, I'm always missing this. I don't have that to do all these jobs. And then checks weren't cashing, so then I was like, yeah, I think I'm out of here. So I bounced. And then actually, right before I bounced, I told him, hey, my dad's been thinking about selling his shop because his health is, isn't the best, and he's just financially, he just doesn't want to do it anymore, stuff like that. So he was, like, leading my dad on, and it was pissing me off because I was like, are you going to fucking do it or not? I'm like, well, I don't know. I was like, dude, just close the shop down, take over my dad's, and you'll have a business that'll start actually producing and making money instead of you wasting money over here doing this crap. And he kept jacking around, so that's when my wife said, why don't you buy the shop? And so, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember it was right around that same time, you know what I mean? And then that's when you built that blue bagger with the flamethrower and all that shit.
Yeah, my blue and black one.
And, it's just crazy. Like, you said 18 years you've been here and stuff like that. It's so crazy how quickly that shit adds up over time. You know what I mean?
You look back at it and it's just like, fuck, I did that. And like, oh, I remember doing, oh shit. Well, and then, and like I said, I'm like, yeah, back in 2011. I'm like, no, it was
it's
way
crazy to think
that.
2011, because, like I said, I've literally been working on this podcast. I'm going back in time. And forever, I'd never thought of 2008, 2009. I'm like, oh, that's a couple years ago.
Right.
Like, no, motherfucker, that's 10 years ago.
Right.
Like, I've only been out of high school for, going on almost 20 years now, but it's like that shit adds up quick. It's like time starts, like, rolling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, man, it's weird, but you bought that shop right when the fucking bottom dropped, but did you feel that here, though? Because I didn't feel it.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, you don't unless you were selling bikes.
Okay,
that was the biggest thing, because in the service and maintenance industry, like, it doesn't matter. Everybody already has Harleys.
Yeah,
everybody is already riding them, unless they got repoed because the oil fields and shit like that. They had to go back to the banks and stuff like that. And no, they stopped financing. Nobody was financing. Harley wasn't financing. Do you remember Full Bore?
Yeah.
Dude, he just opened up that big-ass fucking shop over in Dallas, man. And it was fucking full of neon lights and shit. I remember driving by like, what fuck was that? One time I went out to see my sister. What the hell shop is that? And we circled around and came back by, and I drove by and like, damn, huge windows with Texas choppers in there. And I mean, the whole glass was outlined in neons and stuff like that. He just opened the doors like maybe 4 months prior to that. He went out of business, dude, within months.
Both stores went out.
Both stores, and he had another location where he was buying all the bikes and stripping them and repairing them and then putting them back together in decent shape.
He was kind of doing what basically like Dream Machines and all those companies do now. You know what I mean? Back then.
Back in the day when I was a kid, the guy that was doing it was Barnett's. Yeah. Barnett would send these guys with trailers, big old long trailers all over the country.
You're talking about Barnett out of El Paso?
Yeah. That was the biggest Harley shop. And it was crazy. And I think I talked about it on the other podcast. But he would send people out there. They'd get the bikes all decked out. And they would strip it down to nothing. And then they would put the bike on the showroom floor. And then they would put the parts up. I'm like, oh, yeah, I like this. Oh, you need a backrest? Yeah, I need a backrest. Cool. I'll sell you a backrest. Well, he was basically putting the damn backrest right back on the bike that he bought for so much. Yeah. Sold it for almost the same price, and then started selling all the add-ons and stuff like that. So, but I mean,
sneaky.
That was back in the day.
Yeah, it's wild. I wasn't really, very active in the Harley shit other than just the, working at other side and stuff like that. But it's just crazy, man. Like seeing, like I remember when those shops went out of business. I remember, seeing people scramble, to find that next wave of what's cool after the chopper thing kind of crashed, you know? And I remember a lot of people building some bobbers and things like that, kind of going with that more, not long and out bikes, but maybe just the more tucked in stuff that I kind of am more keen to like myself. Yeah. But, man, I always say, like, for Dallas, man, I think what made the bagger scene kind of start kicking off was all the brothers riding them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's that? Second to None?
Second to None Club, man. Like, they started coming through with them big-ass apes and stereos and fucking, loud paint jobs.
Still small wheels.
Still small wheels.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh, shit. I mean, relatively speaking, looking at these bikes, there was those, Ballistic Cycles and Yaffe and all these other guys building the nice stuff, but...
Well, that's just like me. In 2009, I was building my bike, and I thought it was pretty clean and kind of ahead of its time a little bit. But, like, I bought that bike on the cheap. You know, I bought it at an auction cheap because I knew I was going to spend some money on it, and I bought it cheap. And when it came to start fixing it up, I'm looking at, like, Yaffe with that. You talked about the...
Chupacabra.
No.
There was the brown one they built.
Yeah, something about Suck My Wheel or whatever. Yeah, the brown one. And then Shope came out with that white one.
White one was so fucking sick.
With the bags that open up backwards.
It had the fucking cheetah print wheel or some shit.
Yeah, and it was all crazy looking. And like I was like, man, that's badass. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna hit this market running, and I'll be the guy to go to. And I started looking. I'm like, holy shit, that PM wheel, 21 inch on the front of my bagger, was $2,400 just for the wheel. It was the Contour. Mm-hmm. I think they call it a Lux now, but it was called the Casino wheel, and it was a Contour series, so it kind of was 3D-ish on the hub a little bit. And I was like, man, that's expensive. I was like, I wonder how much the 26 is. Holy fuck, that's back before blanks were out. So they were cutting them from chunks of square, aluminum, 3D, $6,500 just for the rim. I was like, I don't even have $6,500 in the bike. Yeah. Much less I'm gonna put a wheel on there. Plus I gotta buy the rake kit and all that stuff. That's another like $2,000.
Yeah, it made sense for those bikes to be $60,000-$70,000.
Yeah, and so I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to build a cool bike. So I put a lot of money into the motor. I did the flamethrower so I could, and then I was playing with the sound system, and I was putting like the JLC3s, blew those out in the first week. C5s, blew those out in the 12th week. Then I went with Boston Acoustic Pros, and I was like, hell yeah. That was before they had 6.5 inch speaker adapters, Yeah. So I was still running 5 1/4s in the front, 6x9s in the bags, and it was still loud as shit. And everybody was like, oh damn.
It was new when that stuff came out though, and like I said, a lot of people didn't look at baggers. Especially road glides. Road glides didn't have that kind of swag. They were ugly looking.
They were ugly.
And then you put a bigger wheel, and you're like, I kind of like it. And then it kind of started growing, and then, it just got to the point where the street glides and the electric glides were just kind of so common to see. Yeah. Because what was it? 2008, they made the street glide officially, like where they was stripped
like 5
down.
Or 6. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a just clean electric glide, Yep. And I mean, it was a good market, man. Like, it really was. It just. Like any market, these things they're not infinite, man. They come and go, and like I feel like you were just talking about that wheel. for the companies that got into those baggers soon, they were able to, relatively make good money selling the shit, and the products that people sold made money. And then of course eBay gets a hold of it, and China gets a hold of it, and every fucking buddy that knows how to turn a wrench gets a hold of it, and then the market's so saturated there's no money anymore.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's what really drives industries down. And obviously, like the chopper thing, it's insurance companies with, I remember in Texas where you couldn't just register, but you can only do one MSO a year or something like that. What was
I don't think that didn't end up happening here.
It didn't?
No,
I remember
they were talking about it, but I don't think it ever happened.
To where basically, like, what was it like? Basically, it was like you could only, if you were going to build your own bike, you could only do one a year.
Yeah, you could do one a year, and it had to be titled in your name, and you had to have it titled in your name for at least a year, something like that. Was the rumor that was going around. I built a few bikes, and we never had any problems. But I usually built them for other people, so I didn't. I didn't have to worry about it. It was going in their name anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But the hard part about the custom bikes, what sucked is, and that's why everybody talks about matching cases and I have a title in hand and this and that. It's just hard because to get them financed, you can't, because there's no value. There's no value for the finance company to say, okay, what is it worth? It's not in the NADA book. It's not in the Kelly Blue book. What is this thing worth? So that they would loan the money on it, because they knew if they had to repo it, what they could market it and sell it back for and recoup their money. So they knew how much deposit down and stuff like that. Insurance companies, they do not like to insure custom motorcycles bikes, because they don't know how much it's really worth. I could go and put all kinds of Chinese products off of eBay and build me a bike and tell them $75,000 custom build. It's got a Joe Martin paint job on it.
Yeah.
Or whoever, Fast Life Garage paint job or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, $4,000 bike.
Yeah, and it's just like oh yeah, we'll do this, and then but they have no. So then next thing you know, the guy has it for 6 months, and then it got stolen at a bar. And
it fell over, and they get $60,000.
Yeah, they get all kinds of crazy, stupid money for it, and it's all Taiwanese parts, but they have no idea what it's worth. So that's what hurt the whole custom bike market.
Yeah, that's what I remember it being like. And like a lot of the bikes that we did in Northern Cali, I mean, some of the first couple ones that I did up there when I started going there was like dudes, like they had stated value or something like that, or they'd have like an appraiser come and look, and they say, okay, this bike, it's a $70,000 Harley. So fucking totaling that bike is over $40,000.
Yeah.
So you can get $40,000 you can, if you have a custom bike already, and then you drop it and you get $40,000 to repair it, the motherfucker's a spaceship after that. That's what was happening with a lot of those crazy ass bikes that were out there, And then not to mention, like, a lot of the brothers here in Second to None were doing the same shit.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I'm gonna push it over. We're gonna get this new paint job, but I need 2 of it because my mortgage is this.
Right, my mortgage is due, but I still want to fix my bike back up.
Yeah, and then as a shop, we got to cover the taxes on all the money and shit like that.
Yeah. Like, no, just cut them the check.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was crazy, man. It's interesting now seeing, now that like I'm aware of an industry a little bit more than I was when I was just kind of dabbling in it before, when the choppers things done. So you see the baggers kind of have. They're still here, they're still predominant, but they're just not, they don't have that same wow factor they did have, and now you see people scrambling looking for that next wave.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing is there's the shops that are going out of business, or the chopper shops went out of business, and the bagger shops are going to start slowing down, or they're going to start, all these people, like 4 years ago, everybody wanted to change their name to this and that, like, even not nothing against Covington's, but it was Covington's House of Baggers now. You know what I mean? It's like everybody started changing their names, and it was just like, why? It's like clothing. It's going to come around. Vans were hot, and then they went away because everybody had Nikes. Now what? Vans are hot as shit. It comes around. It's in waves, and that's the thing that I've been happy with is I don't have a niche. I like all things Harley. Like, I don't give a shit what it is. If you look at them, I got a 16 with a 26. I got another bagger. I got my father-in-law's bike that we're fucking redoing the motor in. There's a shovel head, kickstart only, with a mag and all that shit. I got a Sportster tracker. Got an FXR. Got a West Coast chopper bobber we're building. We got that little secret project that you're going to be dibbling with in a little bit. There's like all this stuff in here. And I got one CVO, two CVO, three CVOs in here, and one of them I chopped it all the fuck up. But I love all things Harley. Like, it doesn't matter. I go hang out with Chopper Supply Co. and check out all that stuff and check out those bikes, and I enjoy it. Like one of my favorite bikes up there is it's got to be the one that Jim built for Chemical Candy Randy, the green one.
The green one, yeah.
Fuck,
I fell in love with the last one that Scott's been riding around on. That fucking the long front end one.
That one's cool, but all the detail.
green one was super.
You know me, I'm into deets.
Yeah.
I love my deets, and that bike is just covered with details. It's ridiculous. Like that, I love that bike. Like,
yeah,
but man, I like glitter boxes.
There you go.
I love glitter boxes.
It's crazy because I appreciate a lot of bikes, but I'm for me personally, like I get wrapped up in cultures of bikes. So I'm like, oh man, I'm a part of this team right now. Like, I'm Team Dyna, Team this.
Yeah.
And I still dig baggers, but I was just talking to some guys last night at our bike night, and I was like, this guy was telling us a story about how he has this Dyna Lowrider S 117 kit, all this crazy shit done to the bike, and he's at a bar he rode up to. He's just kind of chilling. He's single guy, or I don't know if he is or not, but he said this real loud older dude, obviously a bagger rider. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The guy's in there being loud as fuck, says, "Oh, you ride a bike? Is that your bike outside?" Kind of comes up to him, talks to him, and he's like, "That's a cute little bike, but check out this." Started showing pictures of his bike on his phone, and that kind of shit. And I'm not saying every guy on a bagger is that way, but there's a lot of people out there like that. And I'm the guy that's like, the other guy on the other end, like, whose fucking gay ass bagger is this outside? You fucking queers? Did you ride it? Is there a trailer? I saw a trailer out there.
But see, there's a great divide within even the Harley market. So you have the guys like you and your buddies and stuff like that are actually not helping Harley.
Not at all, yeah.
Because you guys are into FXRs, which are extinct. They don't make money for Harley at all. There's nothing about FXR that makes money for Harley Davidson, the company itself. Unfortunately, Dyna now.
Yeah.
All the Dynas are gone. They make no money for Harley right now. Well, right now they still have some parts and stuff like that, but that's going to end up going out of circulation probably, So the guys on the FXRs and the Dynas don't actually do anything for Harley Davidson because first of all, they're not going to go in there and buy their damn T-shirts, their boots, their hats, their stuff like that. So they do nothing for the actual company itself right now, okay?
Yeah.
They carry on the heritage, which is awesome. Yeah, bring back the FXR because it's a badass bike. I got one.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't inherit it, but my dad passed away and I bought his back from the guy. So I have a 94 FXR. But I'm not about the scene or anything. I love FXRs because my dad taught me about them. And he told me about reading the book that what's the Hell's Angels president? Sonny Barger wrote that book, and in there it talks about the FXR,
crazy,
and how that's the best bike ever. So, I understand the scene, and I love it too, and I'm all about the FXRs, and I'm buying parts that aftermarket companies are making for FXRs to keep them on the road and stuff like that. I'm all about it, but if we want Harley Davidson to keep thriving, we need the douchebags.
Yeah,
unfortunately, we need the doctors, the lawyers, those guys that are actually putting you're like, oh, these guys are building bikes, they're not fucking putting miles and this and that, and I'm like, thanks a lot, Jace, you fucking dick. Like, I build the fuck out of bikes, and I how many miles have I put on my bikes in the last 6 years? Zero, because I got 5 bikes, not one of them runs.
When I first started, getting real vocal on these things, it's like, there's that part of me that, there's certain people in the industry that I developed that kind of frame of mind. Mm-hmm. But then, there's also, like, I'm not thinking about you when I'm saying it. I'm thinking about, like, that fucking this guy or that guy that I, didn't like what they were doing or whatever. So I associate him with that. But then when you start, like, for me, it was hanging out with guys like FXR Mike and you and Moose and people that are talented with the craft that I realized, there is.
And Carlos.
Yeah, and Carlos. Yeah. There is a craft or a satisfaction almost equivalent to riding a bike when you're creating products or parts or building something. Like, there's a satisfaction that I didn't quite get yet.
Oh, dude, it's a high.
Yeah.
To build something and put it out there, and then somebody, like for Dan, I built those things for Dan. I did some stuff for what's his name, that his bike's going in the Lichter show. I built some wheel spacers for him, and I was just like, here. I'm like, don't worry about it, dude.
Yeah.
What? And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. Type of stuff like that, because it's like that. It was just it's like, ooh, he gave me a task. He challenged me, like my wife's challenge is when it says estimated time of arrival. She's like, that's a fucking challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet you I can beat that shit. That's her. Ooh, and mine is just like, fuck yeah. Somebody wants me to do something like to build something or to do something is just like, how can we make it a little bit different? Let me think, like that guy right there, he wanted bars, but his hand position was so jacked, like I couldn't do anything really cool with the bars. So then I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do the design from the wheels to match the gussets on the bars. So that way it ties everything
Feels
in.
cool,
that way he has specialized bars that aren't off the shelf, because the bars I was building look straight off the shelf.
Yeah.
The way he wanted them, I'm like, I got to tweak them a little bit. So I got them tweaked, but that's the thing is we get high on that, and that's our like, oh my God. And then we're family, so we want to go home and be with our families. Like Moose has got a kid that's 16, so she's wanting to do all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Carlos has got that little, but like his boy is little. I think he's like 3 or 4. And he's into his family and fishing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm into wakeboarding and snowboard, or wake surfing and snowboarding right now. Like, fuck, if I could, I'd sell my bikes and go buy a boat. Like I would. Yeah, but I'm not that dumb.
Like I said, it's a wake up call for me, and that's the one thing that I've been trying to express is that, if you have the ability, I've always said this, like if you've done some riding in your life, you've experienced it. I think that's to me that's the key, is have a stake of your life where you've actually done some real motorcycle shit. And I ain't saying you got to ride to Cali,
right?
But just there's certain shops here in town that trailer to bike nights in town. And that to me, it's like fake.
Yeah, my show bike, that blue bike, that fucking it was in the magazine, but I fucking wheelied the shit out. I almost wadded it up in the front of my shop one night because I fucking come around the corner and I blipped the throttle. The front end came up and it hit so hard when it came up, it knocked the handlebar, my left hand, off the handlebar. So I jerked back with the right. So I was doing like a cross up, like a dirt bike cross up, like right. And then when it came down, it went into a wobble, dude, like no other. And I was like, holy shit, like the pucker factor of 200 come around. My wife opened up the shop door to let me drive the bike because she was following me. So she saw the whole thing and she's like, motherfucker, and it was just like, holy shit, that was back in my party days. So I wasn't wearing helmets back then, And so it's kind of like, oh shit, so, but like everything I build, even if a customer comes in and wants a show bike, I won't build a show bike. I'll just tell them, hey, there's a bunch of other guys out there. I'll build them. If you want a rider or driver, like I build them to ride and I build them to service. So people want me to put like, oh well, you're building the bike, let's put LED lights on, dude. I fucking hate neons and LED lights and shit like that with the little buttons and control. But if you want me to do it, fine. It's $1,500 fucking job, because I'm gonna put all these little connectors, quick disc connectors and shit, and you're working with this wire they don't even go that small on the strippers. Yeah, because if you use those automatic ones, it just pulls the wires.
Wire off,
so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'll put them on, but it's like 1,500 bones, because I know I'll have to work on that bike, and you're gonna be pissed if I just start ripping all them lights off the gas tank to take the gas tank off, and I'm like, you might want to go get some adhesive and put those back on. So I make disconnects so that when the tank comes off, it disconnects. I do what I need to do, I put the tank back on and I connect it. And
you can definitely, like any kind of wiring, even if it is LED stuff, you can get to a point where you're like, those perfectionists, like you see those fucking circuit boards, they got all the color coordinations.
Yep.
That's what you end up wanting to do. And next thing you know, like, holy shit, like I just spent a whole day wiring LEDs up just because I was my OCD kicking.
And I'm $100 an hour, and I was over 8 hours, so do I charge them $800?
Yeah.
Like, fuck yeah, I do.
So, what I've learned, because I think I was really vocal when I started being the bagger guy that was riding across
country. When you first started, you were crazy vocal.
Because I would drink a lot.
You had diarrhea of the mouth.
Yeah,
for sure.
I would go out and get drunk, and I'd see one thing on Instagram that would trigger me, and I'd just go on a rant and then wake up the next day and be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Why did I say all that?
But here's the thing, just so you know, for future reference, I'm the guy listening to your podcast when you're going to California and all these trips and going and doing all that. I'm like, fuck, he's got the life.
Yeah.
And then you see me where I'm posting pictures at my house. I got a decent pad, and I got some nice stuff and cool shop and stuff like that. And you're like, fuck, he's got that life. We all want to have that life, But Danny Dixon just did that post the other day, and he's like, don't worry about all these other motherfuckers, because they're wishing that they were successful like you, and you have the hot wife and the cool car, and you got the cool house and all that stuff. Everybody's got their different things. Like, I would love to be, we have a little bit of an age difference. What are you, 36?
I'll be 36.
36, so we're almost 10 years apart.
Yeah.
So 10 years ago, I'm doing the same. I would love to do the same thing, go buy me a fucking, not a Sprinter van, but a Sprinter type van. Drive out somewhere, start there and take off, and then just drive back to it. You know what I mean? Because it's half the journey to get out there, but if you're on a time frame, like, I really want to go all the way up the West Coast, it would be cool, but shit, it's going to take me 2 days, 3 days just to get to the West Coast to start my trip,
and then there and back
and then
home.
Back, and then, so to me, it's like, put it in a van and air conditioning, haul ass across Arizona, shitty part, and then just start going up one, and enjoy yourself,
And that's honestly what I'll end up doing, you know what I mean? But what I realized when I was doing bagger stuff, when I was building the baggers or doing my version of building, which let's just call it window shopping, basically. So when I put all my shit together and I started riding them across country, it's like, I knew the bikes looked good aesthetically. They look great in Instagram. You take a picture of it, it looks cool. But, you go to a Baddest Bagger show or something like that, and you pull it in, you knock all these bugs off. But you your still bike... got chips all over it.
Yeah, but your bike wasn't a show bike.
It wasn't.
And you're putting it in a what?
Show.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so those things would make me feel like less.
No, but and those guys over there, these guys with these big jobs and stuff like that are trailing all their shit in, in the back of their heads, they're like, fuck, man, that'd be fucking cool to be riding all the way over there. Or they're saying, fuck that, that's why I don't ride, because I know that air suspension is going to blow out and stuff like that. But you kept going and you reached out, you got another shock, and you guys kept rolling. You are touching more people by doing that stuff on a bagger, big wheel bagger, than you think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now that you've got more followers and stuff like that, and if you stop talking shit about the baggers, bagger guys would start listening to your podcast, and they'd be like, check him out, man. He's fucking, he did it on baggers, now he's doing it on this, and he's, you know what I mean? Like don't hate him just because of what you thought. Like, yeah, I go around some of the big wheel bagger guys, and they're fucking dickheads, and they're fucking, but guys with CVOs are dickheads and cocky as shit too, and it's a stock fucking bike.
Yeah.
Oh, I got this CVO 117, and it's fast, and Harley has it rated at this thing, and then I go on a 88 or 95 inch and fucking smoke their 117.
Yeah.
And it fucking doesn't. It costs half as much as their bike did, and they get all hurt. It's just like the chopper days. It was the little dick syndrome. The first thing they do is they have to build a chopper, and it's got to have a 360 rear tire. It's got to have a 131 Merch motor in it. And it's got to have, you remember those motors? Yeah. It's got to have a 131 Merch in it, and it's got to have, a 16 over front end on it. The bike was worthless. It fucking hauled ass and went straight, but what else did it do but pull pussy?
Pull pussy.
That's all it did.
And that's what everybody was trying to do.
How many guys like Daytona Bike Week? I remember that guy. He passed away. I don't remember the name, but I remember the guy in my head, and I envisioned him. And his bikes were crazy, slung in the back, down low, like he sat deep, like almost on the transmission. Big old 300 rear tires, and his gas tank went up, and the gas tank sat on top of the frames. His handlebars were like clip-on styles that were on the actual fork tubes, and the front end was like a 16 or 18 over front end, hydraulic front end. But he couldn't, if you saw him going down the road, his head and the top of the tank were about the same thing. So he's just kind of leaning over to it. But he was in all the magazines.
Looked like he would do a wheelie every time he's riding down the road.
Yeah, he's riding down the road, but he's leaning to one side or the other just so he could see what's in front of him.
Yeah.
That was the cool thing. Now it's whoever's got the biggest wheel, it's the same thing. It
changes and it adapts. And, as I get older, I'm more aware of that. So most of the times that we talk shit about baggers, it's joking. But, the other thing that we get to a point of is maybe I'm on a podcast with a friend that we talk about dying and shit all the time. And,
right.
And then sometimes you lose track of, we're also recording what we're saying.
Yeah.
And other people are going to hear this. But the other thing is, man, I just, with the baggers, I enjoy them. And I know that, more than anything, I want to see the motor company make it. I want to see them keep going. And I do understand the purpose of the guys in the trailers. And I do understand that, but just as much as those guys poke fun at us and our, or poke fun at the chopper, we all make fun of everybody. We,
right.
We did a podcast with FXR Mike that we never released because it was kind of like our first one we ever did.
Mm-hmm.
But we literally spent an hour and a half just talking about each different scene.
Yeah.
Including Dynas and FXRs, and we were just making fun of it all, and it was funny. Just
like the chopper guys, man. I wanted to finish my Shovelhead one day and ride it. I want to do the Run to Raton. I want to do all these stuff like that. But I already know we're going to be doing a lot of time on the side of the road because, those bikes just don't hold up, and there are some, don't get me wrong, and I don't want hate mail tomorrow, but there are some that do.
Yeah.
No problem, but it's just hard to fit in these different genres and really dig it, because then there's guys, I rode up on the Nuck, oh, you rode all the way up here on the Nuck, yeah, and you walk out there and like, oh, that was a 2014 knucklehead from SNS, gotcha, okay, my bad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they rode up on the Nuck, and they got the ratted jeans and all this stuff like that, and the bike's ratted out, and it's got a SNS
nice
knucklehead in it, or an SNS
motor.
pan head in it, I ran the pan. What are you on today? Oh, I'm on my pan. Is it really a pan?
Yeah.
Like, really? Or is it, or some people, I don't know. It's just one of those things, that I can hate and make fun of these chopper guys because they're broken down on the side of the road, but that's their thing. It's all about the journey. It's all about the brotherhood and doing that stuff. Shit, I want to go with them. Maybe I'll be able to help them get their bike going or something like that. Maybe they'll help me get my bike going down the road.
I think that...
But I make fun of them and I respect them. I make fun of the Dyna Bros, the memes. I repost some of the memes and shit like that I think is funny as shit. But I still respect the Dynas because guys are doing big things on them, I respect the big wheel bagger things because there's some of them that look like fucking spaceships.
Well, I used to have...
And some of them look fucking clean as fuck.
I used to, I've even said this, is that I think I used to have... I don't know the guys. I don't know the guys at DA Performance personally. Mm-hmm. But I talked about them in a recent podcast where I was like, I used to think those dudes weren't really into bikes. And I think that's more my biggest thing about any shop is that I don't like vultures in the industry. The people that are just here for the trend and then they're gone.
Right.
And I thought that they were like that. But, man, they started building some bikes, like doing some real fucking fabricating chopper shit to these baggers lately. And even the Softails they've been doing. And I'm like, these dudes are legit.
Yep.
I retract all my negative comments and statements. These dudes are fucking putting out badass stuff. And
they're out there fucking drag racing in front of their shop with that sick pipes guy with the orange wheel bagger, the turbo, or 124 and turbo, and then the other one's all hopped up. And they're like drag racing in front of their shop, and they got like lines of people. Have you seen those videos?
Yeah, I've seen them, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like they're doing their thing, and I can't hate on that, And I like all things motorcycles. The orange wheel bike, fuck, I love that bagger. Yeah. I would own that motherfucker in a heartbeat, And then Sick Pipes or someone else built that other bagger that has that wheel that RKB did.
Which wheel is that?
It's a like a 30-inch fucking chopper style wheel with the spokes like lead sleds building. And it's got a girder front end on it, and it's bagger. It's like all chopper in the front. It's got saddlebags with the long thing. It's got like brown. It's got flat brown paint on it and shit.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Dude, that fucking bike is so fucking dope. That's like...
I dig it, man.
That's chopper bagger sex in a box, and the baby came out. I'm like, fuck yeah, that's a hybrid breed there that I'm all about.
And I'm like I said, it is one of those deals. I just like man, you just...
Did I fuck it up?
No, like I get to the point, man. Like I said, and I'm better with it. But man, when we started hanging out again a couple years ago, like you were at the height of me, man. Fucking getting drunk every night at Buffalo Wild Wings. Anybody that posted anything that didn't fit my agenda of riding baggers across country, I was like, you fake ass fucking shops and blah blah blah, wanting to do, and maybe you should ride it and blah blah blah. Yeah, I know that one is sick as fuck.
That's a dream build right there.
So it's like
with this 2010 panhead.
2010.
But that's a dream ass bike right there. I love it. That bike is dope.
What's changed for me, or what has helped me, and even though yes, we still make our jokes on these podcasts and stuff, but what's changed for me is, like I said, getting more aware of what actually goes into, like what you do and what Moose does, and the people we mention. It's like, okay, well, might not be into every type of bike that everybody builds. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the other thing is, why does my opinion matter? If you're building a bike and you dig it and you think it's cool, whether it's a big wheel bagger...
Because you got a lot of followers.
Okay. So it's like, I mean, yes, I want to have my opinion about something, and I want to be able to be strong about that opinion,
and that's the thing.
Whether it's right or wrong in the world's eyes.
Yep.
But, like I'm an advocate for riding motorcycles, and I dig it. But I've developed a respect for people that just want to build bikes.
Right.
And that's cool to me. That's awesome. I mean, there's a part of me, like I was saying earlier, that, man, I want to get my shop to a point where it's not like I can do a couple helmets and bills are paid. And now I can go sit down at that welding table and I can put a little YouTube video up on my shit and I can practice things and learn how to do these things because I want that satisfaction that you get when you make something.
Yep.
You know? Like something you hold, like whether it's a fucking wheel spacer or a shift lever or a goddamn fucking exhaust system. Like I want that satisfaction.
But see, here's the thing is you're talking about the builders that they don't ride and this and that, but you know what? Our passion, like my passion, is to make these bike owners' dreams come true. And to know that they're out there riding their bikes. And I'm too obsessed and involved with making their dreams come true that I don't have time for my own shit.
Exactly. That's a really, really good point, too.
It's not that I don't love to ride. If I will say I won the lottery tomorrow, I would still be in the same well, no, I'd own my own damn shop, my own property, but I'd have a killer shop with a bunch of cool shit. And
so you'd be like Jesse James down there, probably have a dope shop.
Except I would probably be doing something like get not just the veterans, but just people in general that have this itch or something like that. Like what kind of like a not pimp my ride, but overhauling.
Yeah.
Somebody suggests somebody needs to get their bike done and stuff like that. Like if I won the lottery today, I'd build me a big ass shop, and I would probably still not ride across the country. No, but I would build a big ass shop, and I would reach out to a bunch of people, and I would start doing something where people start like sending me like, oh, I think this guy is in need because of this or that or blah, blah, blah. And I would either do a pimp my ride, but not just for the veterans. I mean, there's a lot of stuff for the veterans, but there's people that aren't veterans that are on hard times or had an accident or something like that. And I would basically...
I just wrecked my van and I could really...
Yeah, you know what I mean? But but you know what I mean? Like people that are down and out, they wrecked their bike, they didn't have insurance on it at the time or something like that. They really love riding, they put the miles... I'd bring it in and I'd start reaching out to big companies and let's get this guy back on the road. Get some people, some engine guard people to sponsor some stuff, some shock companies, maybe S&S throw in some parts, and we can do a little hop-up kit and stuff like that. Pimp the ride and give it to them and not charge a penny for it. Because if I won the lottery and I had all kinds of money, like I don't want to just be charitable and just hand out cash. Like I want something that's going to make a difference in their life. Some guy gets in a wreck and he loses his leg, like... Bring your bike in. Let's make you a pimp ass trike or a pimp ass. Let's add a sidecar to your
maybe
bike.
You can lathe up an extra leg for him. You can just
something. You know what I mean? But that would be my dream. Like I would love to do what I do now, but for people that need it and not charge anything for it.
Well, you know what I think,
because I love making dreams come true. It's crazy. I mean, it sounds so stupid, and I'm nobody. But like even if they're paying for their own dream to come true, like I want their dream to come true. Like. They have a vision. I want to. You
said a good point. Like if you had the money and it wasn't an issue. And I think that if I had a lot of money, I would still want to shop. Maybe I'm a lot more of a selfish asshole than you are. Because what I'm thinking of is like, fuck, I just want to like go on large rides and get groups and like show people the enjoyment that I get out of riding. Because I really do think that as much as I have a stake in doing paint and wanting to build bikes or all the shit like what I talk about in here and what we were just talking about a while ago. Realistically, the happiest I am is when I'm waking up at 3 a.m. and I'm about to go ride my bike somewhere really far.
Yeah.
That is like, I'm like,
You know what the difference is? Mm-hmm. You're a painter, and your hobby is riding the fuck out of your motorcycle. Mm-hmm. I'm a builder.
Exactly.
I'm a builder. And like by the time the afternoon comes, it's like, fuck, I don't want to look at a motorcycle. I just want to go home and hang out with my kids and play and go wake surf and take off for a weekend and go snowboarding and with my bros and stuff like that, because that's my hobby.
Yeah.
So once you start building bikes all the time and you're putting all that stuff and stuff like that, like if it's not for your personal one, like think about when you're building baggers for all the bagger dudes and you're so pissed off and upset and they're on your ass all the time and all you wanted to do was go on your trip, but they're calling you and talking shit and this and that. It's going to happen when you start doing it on Dynas and FXRs. It's going to happen no matter what you're working on. You could start building doghouses when you leave and these people are expecting their doghouse to be done. They're going to be bitching and complaining and this and that. So like we're in the business to make people happy, and it gets overwhelming. And then it's like the last thing you want to do is look at a fucking motorcycle.
Yeah.
But if I had one running, I'd be dipping out of this shop all the time.
Yeah.
I'd always like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, we're over here. Dude, hang on. I'll be right there. Let me just, okay. Like that dude can wait. And I'd be jamming and to go do that. And then I wouldn't get anything done. And then I'd be pissed off at motorcycles again because this guy wants his fucking motorcycle done by Thursday bike night. Blah,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, where's a happy medium, you know?
I think that
And what you're doing now is like you were talking about, man. If you can get you a nice shop and have low bills to where you could knock out a few paint jobs and say like, okay, I'm taking deposits for September.
Mm-hmm.
You're not taking any stuff in for August, but you made enough money in June and July to where you can fuck around all August.
Yeah.
And then come back, and then you already have stuff waited to go for September, October, and then maybe you're gone all November. You know what I mean?
That's kind of the direction, is finding a way to minimalize the work that we're doing so that also we can capitalize and have more time to spend on the projects.
Yeah.
Which, for us, the helmets has been that way because when I'm looking at a helmet, like, the reason I've found a love for painting them is because I'm not looking at them and holding back, going like, this would be so much sicker if I did it this way. And then you look to the right and you see 14 more parts that got to match it. When you're looking at a helmet, that is one canvas.
Yeah.
And your goal is just how sick can I make this?
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. Like, yeah, you get on a Dyna or a Chopper or a FXR, you're only adding a couple more pieces, but you get so deep in these bigger projects and more materials and more shit that it's like,
well, maybe on the next ones you need to figure out how much time you have in a helmet and compare that to what you charge for it. How much time do you have in an FXR or Dyna paint job, and how much you make off of that, and then how much you have, and just I mean, you don't have to say fuck baggers. I'm never doing baggers again. Fuck all you faggot bagger riders, you trailer queens, and blah blah blah. Price accordingly.
Yeah, and that's kind
Tell
of
them, hey, I charge this for a helmet. Charge this for a 3-piece on a soft tail. Charge this much for a Dyna. I charge this much for a Dyna or FXR with a fairing.
Yeah.
And I charge this much for a Dyna FXR with a fairing or, hard clamshells and the big, what's the big fairing called?
RP fairing.
The RP fairing. And I charge this much for a Road King. And I charge this much for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just charge accordingly. Yeah. And if they want it, they'll pay for it. I mean, I know you might not want to do it, but it's if you're still making the same percentage, no matter what you're painting,
then it's still good. Yeah,
it's still good.
Yeah, that's not a bad way to look at it.
I just talked to a guy the other day, and he even does percentages for rust jobs.
For real?
Well, it's this much if you want it done. If you want it in 2 to 4 business days, it's add 25% to the total, and if you want it like next day, it's 50% added to the total.
I think for me as well, like, when I stopped being that vocal shit talker online, when the older I've gotten in my business, the more I've been able to have those professional conversations with customers and tell them what I charge, and they respect it, as opposed to like coming off like some punk ass kid, running my mouth all over the place, and then just, you know what I mean? So it's like, as I've grown and became more adult like, then so has the ability to get respect in the work that I'm expecting to get from my or the payment I'm expecting to get. So it's been a process, man. But
that's the thing. It's just it's hard with social media, internet, stuff like that. It takes forever to build something, and it takes 2 seconds to lose it all. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And like my Instagram, it's not big at all, but everything on it's happy, chipper, and stuff like that. And I make fun of myself when I fuck shit up. And if I have a bad day, I'll post, oh, great, I'm having a bad day. But like when I vented the other day, that's the first time I vented in I don't know how long on my story, because I knew in 24 hours that thing was going to be gone. So it didn't matter to me. They didn't have
the stories whenever I used to vent. Carlos did it best. He goes, man, I usually I just sit at the house and drink all night and wait till you get on there about 2 a.m. You start saying some stupid shit, and I just fucking screenshot it, and I'm he says he has a whole folder of me doing stupid shit online in the middle of the night that I always delete in the morning and shit. So.
But that's the thing, it's just like, I don't know, I respect it all, I don't love it all. Well, I love everything Harley, I do, and I respect it all, but like some of the little cliques and stuff like that, like
the subcultures of it.
I don't care for it. I don't have to be there. Yeah. But, like when I get a bike running and stuff like that, I don't know. I'll probably go hang out at one of your little bike nights or whatever, you know what I mean, at yours and some other ones and stuff like that. But for me, I like it so much. I have one of everything.
Yeah, yeah.
I have my show bike, the Chopper. It's a Springer that fucking bounces all over the road, hard-tailed, fat tire with a big inch motor in it, and it's jockey shift,
Yeah.
I loved riding the shit out of that thing. So when I get that back together, that'll be great. I have the FXR. I'll be riding the shit out of that. I got the Sportster,
It's all rusty butchered out.
rusty butchered looking bike. And then I have the
Well, you have that
shovelhead also.
that dirt bike background too, so that stuff is more up your alley with what Rusty Butcher brought to the table and that flat track shit.
Well, the Sportster's kind of my my loophole that my wife put on me, because I was riding dirt bikes and then I fucking fell on my head and she wasn't happy with that, so she kind of coached me into selling it, and doesn't really want me buying another dirt bike. So this, actually, by the title, it is not a dirt bike. It's a Sportster. Harley Davidson Sportster. So now it's got the Rusty Butcher, 14.5-inch shocks on it, and it's all race teched out in the front and pro taper bars and all that stuff. It's basically a dirt bike, but
with a V-twin.
there's a loophole there. But yeah, so I have one of everything, and I want a bagger. I just don't know what I want yet. If I want a Road Glider or want a Road King yet, but I'll have a bagger, and I'll be able to hang out with all the cliques.
Yeah, and
whenever I want, and to me that's fun, and they'll all be nice and rideable, and I'll be able to ride any of them across country except for the shovelhead. Fuck that, yeah. Kickstart only, no.
Be a lot cooler if you did.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I will. I don't know.
There's a lot of, man, like I said, all the subcultures, some of them, they speak to people at different points in their life. Like right now with my travel bug and with, just wanting to have a little bit of feeling like you're free. You know what I mean? Like that whole chopper thing, it speaks to me, but I feel closer to it with the Dyna FXR, even though I don't want to quite go full chopper.
Right.
So it's like, there's that, like I said, when I first got into the big wheel bagger thing, it was a big accessory. It wasn't like, I found a real love for motorcycles going this way, but it's not to say that it couldn't have been there for baggers for me. It's just that where I was in my mind, in my life, I was nowhere near on a point of being able to tap into what I feel now at that time. I was just, the bike I was riding, the crowd I was with, which is just as much of an importance as, the bike,
Yep.
So it was just different, man. But
well, the thing is also what was putting money in your pocket.
Exactly.
And so you do that. And if you get tired of something, like we all get tired of stuff.
Yeah.
We all do. Like I get tired of a bunch of shit, but I don't hate on it, and not just saying that, oh, Jace, all you do is hate on everything. I do not. It's not what I'm doing, but it's just, we all get tired of stuff, and you just need to change. You need a break, and you got to do something else. And that's kind of what happened with bikes for me for a while. Like I started hating it. Just the people in the industry were just shitty. Like they see you coming up, and they want to keep you down. And it's like, no, I want to learn. Like I'm not trying to replace you. I'm trying to be your protege. Like you know. And but people weren't seeing that shit, and so they were trying to keep me down. So I was like, you know what? Fuck this shit. Then I'm out. And I went into a mortgage company for a while, and it was what it is what it is, but I still wanted a fucking chopper and all that shit. And then I was online looking at chopper and in the culture still, and then that fucking ad for the show came up, and I'm like, fuck yeah,
get back in it.
And then I got my bike in town, and I was like, still fuck all the people. Like I have a bike now that I built that I can enjoy now. So I rode the shit out. Me and my wife, girlfriend at the time, but me and my wife, we rode it. Shit, I rode that thing almost every day to work and back, and I was the goofy guy with a backpack, on this fucking hardcore chopper, jockey shifting with a, jockey shifting and shit, and had flamethrowers on that one too, and it was just crazy, it's just different. But I didn't care. I didn't want to be in the industry, and then you just keep getting pulled back into it,
Well, it's because you have a real passion for it. I mean, like you're just telling me, it's like you get wrapped up in the politics of things, and you get wrapped up into the conversation of things, and it's like when you start focusing on just more of the building and the enjoyment of what you're building, and as far as like even just being able to go ride it or rip around town on it, like that's really what centers you, in my opinion. It's when you're not on the bike that all the stupid shit comes out of your mouth or the stupid thoughts come in your head.
And then it's another thing too, is it's social media, and I get people like, did you see what blah 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 posted and blah blah, he's talking blah blah. I'm like, no. Oh, he's saying this and that blah blah. I'm like, why are you getting wrapped? Because every day it's something new with this motherfucker and blah blah blah. And I'm like, there's a little button on the right, click on it, It's going to say unfollow, click that button.
Yeah.
You're going to have a much better week, I promise you. Like if somebody's just being crazy negative, then fucking unfollow them. I didn't unfollow you.
Yeah, exactly.
Even with all your little things, I didn't unfollow you. I still listen to all your podcasts, you know. It's just you have your right to your opinion.
Yeah.
This isn't the Adam Show or the Garley Garage podcast. This is the Fast Life podcast. So you're welcome to your beliefs and your thoughts and everything like that. Everybody else is, you know. It's just
it does suck when you have an audience though, and that's one thing I've always tried to say about this podcast. Like I never wanted to talk shit about people. You know, I never like if don't like what somebody does or I think their shop is shit. Like I never wanted to use this media to say like anything bad about anybody because that's an unfair advantage. You know what I mean? It's unfair that I can share my opinions about someone and they don't have the same platform to share it
or they
back.
Can't have a rebuttal. Yeah, exactly.
So I never really wanted to say anything bad about anybody in general. And realistically, ever since I kind of stepped out of the bagger scene, not saying it's the bagger scene,
right.
It was me in the scene that didn't work. So it's like I've been able to, like you said, not focus on the shit that bothered me,
right?
Because it didn't apply to me anymore, you know. And it's hard to say something bad about someone who's doing things and making money,
right?
Like, I'm the broke ass dude that's got the opinion about how shitty your business is, but yet you know you got nice shit because your business is doing well,
right?
So who's really the dude that needs to shut his fucking mouth, right? So it's just one of those things, you know.
Yeah, and it's gonna be like that with everybody and everything. You know, it's nobody's perfect, and there's a podcast for everybody, and there's a shop for everybody. You know what I mean? And there's people that come over here and they want me to work on their bikes, and it's like, I don't think I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Like they're here, who do you recommend? Try this guy, or this guy.
Yeah.
Like there you go. You know what I mean? Just.
And that's what I do too, as far as with painting, man, because I feel like there's a lot of different styles. I hear you talking about these guys that want to do, you know, the stockish looking, like is it Valley Custom that does a lot of that, or well,
there's a few
he
people.
Does some of that
custom, but
he does custom as well. But there's another like Bondo and this other dude Riley. They're really known for doing the stock style paint schemes with logos and nice pinstripes. And it's not that I can't do it, but man, these dudes that's
like service work for me.
Yeah, that's like
it's not niche. Like I can't do a tire change, but there's a guy over there that could probably use the money to do a tire change, or that's what he's into, that's what he does. So
well, the what I honestly think, being honest, is that yes, can I do that paint job? Yes, but I think that they're gonna do a 10 times better paint job because I'm gonna look at it like, oh, that's, you know, the ego comes into play. Oh, that's just some. I'll do that one afternoon before I go home, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not as pristine. Like, these dudes are going through it, going like, man, this is my bread and butter. I want this stock paint job that I might have just changed the colors and pinstripe colors on. That's my fucking badass. That's who I am.
Yeah.
And I feel like those guys deserve that kind of work, you know? And I'd rather that go down their path. And there's guys out there that do fucking, like, my airbrushing is I'm good at like 3 or 4 things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's some people out there like Ryan and fucking Darren from Gasoline Art yeah. And there's all these people that are really talented. They're much more qualified to do those jobs. And I'm like, man, I'm just like, go here, go there. You know, it's same thing with bikes. I get calls for bikes all the time, and I talk to like. You know, I tell them, like, man, there's a guy that does, like, Envy. They are more into the metric bobbers. So when people call me with fucking that shit, I hit them, hey, man, get this guy up. No, that's all good. We, what do you think, like, the next, you know, like, I remember when you first got this place you're in right here, you know what I mean? Like, how you had all these plans for it, and I see where you kind of stopped on a few areas as far as the decorations go, but,
well, decorations were going up and everything, and then it halted because it was like I was too focused on decorating and not making money, and it was like 3 months gone by, and I'm like, shit, I haven't made any money, so I better start getting to work.
Isn't it fun just like, setting up your shop, though? Like, setting up your workspace? Like, there's this...
I love coming in. Like, my wife laughs because, like, I'll take my day off, like a Saturday if we don't have the kids or anything like that, and I'll come up and just straighten up and sweep and clean and organize my tools and get everything all set up. I'm like, and I'll take pictures of it, and then I'll go home and I just feel like accomplished, like almost more than completing a build or something. I just feel like if I come back and I get everything, I'm like, oh man, you should see, I found this new spot for all these tools. I was trying to figure out where to put them, and Then I moved this around, I moved that around, and everything's great. And so it's just kind of cool. But
yeah, I get to a point where I just want to, like, especially after a long putting something together, getting a bike done, paint wise, shop's just a mess. Everything's dusty, and you're like, I just want to clean and dust and mop and get cobwebs out of corners that I haven't been able to touch in a couple weeks, and then
this counter was completely empty yesterday morning. And now there's all this crap here from putting a stereo system in and building that little cap bracket for the top of that gas tank. And it's like it's a freaking pigsty, and I hate it. But yesterday afternoon, when this was kind of pigstying out, I cleaned up my fab table over there, so everything's off of that, so I could cut that bracket, and it was nice and clean. And even after I cut, I even swept up all the grind dust and everything.
Yeah.
That'll last a day.
So, I mean, when you got this place, I mean, you were kind of talking about doing a lot of things. Have you gotten close to, like, some of the things you wanted to do out of the shop? Or, I mean, just as far as, like, I mean, you still do work every day, as like this stereo job you just finished and things like that. But, like, you got a lot of car projects, too, and bike projects. And
it's all personal. And I was going to start, like, getting into the car stuff, but... Because I love, like, that was my very first passion was lowriders, like I was all into them. I had, pink mini truck with reverse Daytons on it and had front, back, side to side, double diamond Z-Rack on it, it was the infamous car. If you go to Las Cruces and you talk to Adam Garley, yeah, he had a pink mini truck. Oh, yeah. Well, you'd have to, my generation, the kids from the 90s, but, yeah, it's notorious pink truck, I was the only dude with a hot pink truck, so, like, cars, like, I have a passion for them, but it's just, they take up so much damn room.
Yeah.
So, like, even on that one, I got to get rid of, like, my personal, that's my goal right now, is this year is catch up on my build stuff, get that thing out of here, catch up on some builds and start working on some of my bikes and knocking them out one at a time. My goal is to have all of my personal bikes done and at home by the end of this year. That's not going to happen. I can't afford that. But I want to get them close, and I want to get them hopefully put together to where they're at least one, maybe two by the end of the year done out of the four. Get them all done, and once that's all done, then that's going to free up a lot of room here at the shop. And then I want to back it up. Like, my original plan was to only have no more than 3 customer bikes in the shop at one time. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 customer bikes here right now, plus my 4.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets tough, man.
I mean, there's plenty of room. Like customers get all hurt because I got a waiting list. I got a rigid and a Softail build. They're 2 brothers, and they're ready to bring them in. They stop by all the time. Well, I see you got a lift open.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's still only one me.
Yeah.
So, like, it doesn't matter how many lifts are open. If I've got bikes I'm working on, there's no time for more bikes. So I'd rather them sit at your house until I'm ready, and I'll call you. And if you're ready, then we'll knock it out. And if you've moved on, I totally understand.
Yeah. Well, now that you've kind of had that shop with employees and a storefront and, ran that kind of side of the business, and now you have this more of a low-key, at your convenience kind of thing, like, is this obviously better for you, or did you enjoy the pursuit of the other style more?
The money was faster made in the service shop. Yeah. Like, it was made a lot faster. Because you had oil changes and services, and I mean, you can whip out a service in no time, and a quick cam job, and this and that, So I made more money over there, but I spent more money at the time. Yeah. So now that we've kind of slowed our lives down, now we got the kids. So this helps me out because it's by appointment only. I don't have a storefront, so I have no inventory hanging on the walls. And that keeps the bikes looking different. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you have a bunch of the same shit on the walls, like, everybody's going to have the same shit. So now, like, everything that leaves the shop they're all different, Yeah.
Well, it's funny you just said that because, I told you about the shop I had to stop by and pick up a part on the way over here. Like I said, not using this to talk shit about anybody, but It's like every bike in the shop looked the same. They all, because he is close with one manufacturer, so every bike had the same bags, the same side covers, the same products, the same, all this. And I'm like, how do you not get tired of that? Yeah, like, that's like me, like, being a builder is like, I get tired of building
just baggers. I get tired of building just this. So that's why it's nice when I get all this variety in here. Like, I can't wait to knock out this 30-inch wheel bagger here and just get it gone. And then the next one is that Softail right there, which is going to be really cool when everybody starts seeing the pictures come out about that one, because that one's under wraps. But and then the West Coast Chopper, like, I can't wait to scoot that one around. Fun, it's going to be so cool.
The way it's set up looks just fun to ride. Dude.
Yeah, and the guy's been collecting the parts, but I guess it's from New Jersey. He had a ship down from New Jersey, and he's been collecting the parts, and he's got a killer stash of parts. He's a big-time West Coast Chopper guy, so he's got a lot of cool West Coast Chopper little knickknacks that he's been sending out. And, yeah, it's going to be a cool little bike for him to be mobbing the streets out there in New York, you know?
That's a good point that you made, though. Like, not having parts on the wall, like, makes it to where each build doesn't have so much similarities, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And it doesn't push anybody into one certain look or anything like that, because that's the thing too. I'm sure with the big wheel baggers, they all kind of look alike until you get these guys with the metal fab and stuff like Dan. Dan builds these bikes and like, what the hell is that? It's not a spaceship, but it's just something that's totally different than everybody else's, you know. And who are some of the other guys? Like some of the other bagger guys, the ballistics guys with those hubless shit, like that just like. What's that?
Yeah, it's just pushing the envelope.
Yeah, it's pushing the envelope. Like, I love that shit. Like, I don't know, a lot of people are going to be like, that's so fucking stupid, waste of money. Yeah, it is, but it's still fucking cool.
Yeah, but like I was saying earlier, there's that respect for the building aspect of something that, that I respect 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you get that difference. And I think that also what you're doing, too, is cool, because you're keeping the variety of bikes. Because even if you're not selling the same parts, when you're working on the same type of bike all the time, you can start to see a pattern of comfort in your builds and how they look and how they come out.
Yeah.
You know, and that's cool. I mean, that's why, like, for us, like, I'm glad that we have helmets, because I can, have a good week where I got a couple great ideas for designs and I can knock out 2 or 3 helmets. But then if I try to do 2 or 3 more, they might end up being very similar. So, okay, let me go fuck with a bagger and not even do any sketches for helmets for a week or 2, and then come back to the helmets and be like, bam, now I got some new kind of new eyes on it and things like that. And you can kind of, even though all our helmets are kind of in the same world, there's still differences enough to where they're not like looking like I just changed the colors a couple times,
Yeah, no, they're all different, but they're similar, but they got your different, different thing. Like, and I think just like you said earlier, you're busting out these helmets, and then you're gonna have to come up with something cool for your helmet, so that it's like, something fresh,
Yeah, exactly.
You're kind of going down the same groove, like you said, and everybody's digging it, and then you're going to be like, let me do some paint jobs, some bagger shit, whatever, and then when you come back to the helmets, you're going to be like, check this out, and it's a whole new series, you know what I mean? Just like other companies, Fox, motocross gear, all their shit looks all cool, and everybody's got it, and then they're like, boom, they come out with this new color combo and all this different design. It's like, whoa, every year they got something that's different every year. Dixon.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
He's doing it so big, huh?
He's just got that marketing, and it sucks you in, and you just start buying everything, and it's like I was telling
you almost got to have like one of the bills every month is a Dixon flannel bill.
Yeah, well, shit, it's like every Friday it seems like lately.
Yeah.
I own every board short he owns. Yeah, because he suckered me in. It's like, oh, these aren't ever coming back. Oh, shit, I get on it, and I buy it, and then guess what? And like, all right, we're going to go ahead and bring only 500 more of these. I'm like, son of a bitch, I just bought all the other ones because I didn't think those ones were coming. So, like, shit, well, all right. And then the time that I was telling you that, when he was going to have these ones, and it was like they sold out in 5 minutes the day before, or the Friday before. So, yeah, I had to duck out of my daughter's last day of school movie theater experience with her little friends, and so I'm like, my phone goes off at 9:55 because I think it was 10 o'clock our time, or 10:59 or 10:55. My phone goes off, so I go into the lobby of the theater, and I'm like, refresh. Oh, they're available. Put it in my cart and check out. It's like, yes, and I go back into the movie, and I can enjoy the movie. But the beginning of the movie, I was stressed out that I was gonna not feel my phone, so I was like feeling my phone, checking my phone. Yeah, just his marketing just makes you want to buy more of his stuff because you get excited, and it's limited and nobody else is gonna have it, you know what I mean? And
And it sucks though because like you know like you said nobody else will have it, and then you go to the IMS show here, the bike show, and it's like 40 of the same flannels of
dude that red and white freaking flannel that
yeah,
was really
that.
badass.
I got it, and
I walked over and Lucky 7, they all had their name embroidered all over it and everything like that, and they're like, nice flannel, and I look over and like all 4 of them are wearing them. I'm like, shit. Yep.
It's funny how the company's getting so big that it's like, it's not saying in a bad way, but it's like it's getting to a point where it's not that exclusive, like
right,
just the cool guy clique that had it, you know.
That's back in the motocross days, Fox Racing, like you had to be in the motorcycle industry to have Fox clothing. And it was like that forever. Like we got the catalogs every year to find out what Fox had, and I don't know if you know Shift is a
I remember Shift. Yeah.
Shift is actually made by Fox. They're the same company. So like I had Shift because that was a little bit even more, you know, secretive and stuff like that. And then next thing you know, it comes out in like one of the skateboard shops, and then everybody's rocking Fox. And you're like, oh, who's your favorite rider? And they have no clue what you're talking about. They just all the other kids, all the cool kids are wearing it, so they just start wearing it. So yeah, and I think that's kind of how Dixon's gonna be, but he's doing his thing, and I like it, man. I'm looking forward to the McGee shirt.
Yeah.
That Darren McGee or Darren.
Yeah, what's his name?
Yeah, he's got that, all the shovel head and pan head and all that motor shirt. And like, I was like, I'm not buying any more of them damn Dixon shirts. I promised myself that. And then I saw he's like, coming out late August. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah. Now, me and FXR Mike were hanging out the other day, and we were talking about some stuff about how, you know, he was telling me about some paint jobs he likes, and I was telling him how I feel like we're almost at a point in the paint industry where we can start bringing back some shit we were doing in the early 2000s and stuff, and it's cool again because like so many people are so into older style paint jobs, like they're into that AMF shit from the 80s, and they're kind of in some of that early 90s mini trucker shit. Like it's starting to kind of make a comeback. So I feel like right now for paint, there's a lot of opportunity for people that have been in the industry for a while that have a decent toolbox full of skills and styles that they can pull off, that they can really come through and start making some, you know, like putting some different flavor into the paint scheme. And it's kind of, you know, because right now it's panels everywhere, every fucking where.
Everybody's got them,
you know, and everybody wants it, and that's why we're doing it. But I feel like, you know, kind of like you were saying about the helmets, it's like coming out and doing another one. If I can, you know, still captivate my audience that likes our panel work, but with another flavor that might be more influenced from a mini truck or a billet chopper kind of era, kind of a paint job, but it still has a new flavor to it.
Some Cal Concepts with some rips with the checkerboard underneath it, and some squiggly lines all crazy and neon colors.
So bringing up these different things is what kind of you know, I think that it's almost time for it. You know what I mean? Because when I got into panels, I felt like I was at the ass end of it, and it's crazy. It feels like it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, even when I talked to Jeff Holt, and he was like, well, you know, we didn't want to put any more panel paint jobs in the magazines because of this, that, and the other. Of course, they were already done with it out there, but that shit's moving across the country.
Yeah,
and
it goes from left to right.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I feel like with the helmets, you know, it's like that's kind of a way that I can kind of test the waters of, okay, maybe this will be kind of cool. And if it's, you know, whatever, I'll wear it. You know what I mean? It'll be another helmet. But, yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to get to the point where it's just the smaller projects, not the overwhelming ones where you're like, you know, it's like you look at that big bagger laying on the floor, like I said, and you're kind of like, not today. I'm not ready to start today.
Right.
You know, because you know when you start, you're going to be into it. You know, you're not going home for a couple of days, basically. Yeah. So it's like,
it's kind of like the big builds. Like when you do a big build, like you've done big bagger builds. So when you do this big build, like it's so time consuming and it takes so long that like halfway through the build, you're like, I'm fucking over this build. Like if it ever gets done, I don't really give two shits. And that's kind of like all my bikes are big builds. And so I start on them, I'm all hyped up, and then I max out my credit cards, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not touching them until I get my credit cards paid down. And then I pay down my credit cards, and then by the time I do that, then it's like I see something on YouTube or something. That's the whole Rusty Butcher bike over there. It's like, God damn it, you know, that's kind of cool. So then I go and start, you know, I just put, what, $1,500, $1,400, $1,500 Olins on the back of the FXR.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay. And I did the motor up. I did all kinds of shit. And then I'm like, okay, I got to recoup for a couple months. I recoup. Well, the whole time I was recouping, I was watching Rusty Butcher. So then what I do, I bought $1,500 Fox shocks for the fucking Sportster. Like, just stupid. Like, if I would have focused and put all that money into one bike, I'd have one done and then go to the next one. But I love everything Harley, you know? Just like I was like, ooh, look at that build. And we were talking over there, and I told you there's something else I like. And you're like, to sit over, oh, my buddy's got that West Coast chopper.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, he wants me to buy it from him. And you're like, so it'll sit over here with the rest of them? I'm like, yeah, I know. Like the car, 54 Chevy 2-door hardtop. Like, I've always wanted one since I saw Jesse James's car, you know. And then my dad talked me into the Post, and he goes, and then you don't have the hardtop, and then you don't have to chop it because it already kind of looks chopped. It doesn't have such a bubbly top. Dude, I got $14,000 worth of parts for that car. That gray box up there is a long block. What do you call them? Crate motor. Yeah, sitting right there. And I got the full front, rear, air ride suspension, AccuAir, all that shit up on another shelf up there. Like, I have everything to do that car and be able to drive it, like, in a couple weeks, but I don't want to tear it apart. Yeah. Because I don't want another project yet. So I've just been collecting parts.
That's kind of, you know, when I've said so many times in this podcast, but when I talked to Oliver and my buddy Joseph, how they would, like, go and buy bikes and build them for themselves and then sell them. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of the process I wanted to start doing.
I can't do that.
And, you know, so I bought that T-Sport, which is one I've been having to sell all the parts off of it. But it's like I get good deals on bikes and people tell me about them. So I picked them up. And next thing you know, I got projects everywhere. And I'm like, you know, the anxiety of like, okay, I need to get this one done or I need a bike. You know what I mean? I'm not used to not having a bike and stuff. And so it's kind of it's overwhelming at times when you have too many projects going on at once. So it's like, fuck, dude, I couldn't imagine like having... I mean, you got a FXR that's like 70% done, maybe.
Yeah, probably more than that.
Probably more. I mean, like I said, you probably paint it and wire it up and throw that new motor you got in there, and it's done. You know, it's a weekend.
It's gonna be dope.
Yeah,
it's gonna be dope. But
the shovel, man, like that thing.
Shovel has been it's so sick, and then I've had it for so long, like since just kickers, like the first one, and then they had the second one. I'm like, oh yeah, and then I get all excited to knock it out, and then I'm like, no, I'm not going to rush it. I'll just wait till next year. And then I put it in the corner, and then I never touch it again.
Dude, when we first hung out at, what was it, Southern Throwdown, the 2016, and you're like, hey, let's go to Giddy Up together so that we can have somebody to talk to while we're there. Because I didn't know anybody in the scene yet. Yeah. And, you know, it's like, fuck yeah, that's cool. And then I haven't seen you Giddy Up the last 2 years, though.
I've never been to Giddy Up.
Dude, it's so fucking fun, dude.
I've never been...
You might go and like come home and finish one of your bikes with the motivation.
Probably not. I'll probably come home and start looking for RVs and shit.
Yeah, probably. It's a van fest. No, it's fun down there. It's cool. But no, your projects, man, like I don't know. I think when you get them done, they're going to be pretty fucking rad. And you know,
but like me, my hardest thing is like you were saying, like these guys that can build them really nice, like that Joe Kidd. I guess he built some nice. Mm-hmm. I don't follow him, but I guess he builds some real nice FXRs and flips them and stuff like that. Like I build a bike and I want to just ask the customer, okay, I know you got 40 grand, 50 grand, and then like, would you take 18 grand for it right now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't ever want any of my builds to go. Like, I've nurtured them. They're my babies, and I don't want to see them go. And then you see them go, and then like, there's one that came back the other day. And I'm like, fuck. Do you keep it outside? Yeah. I'm like, fuck. Like, it's all rusty, and you know what I mean? It's just like, it's sad. But it's like, man, if that was mine, it wouldn't look like that. Or they'll take it and then they'll change everything from your design, and next thing you know, you go back and look at it, and you're like, what the fuck happened to the handlebars? They're all custom painted to match the bike, and they're all scratched up for where he put his fucking cup holder for his fucking big gulps or whatever. And it's like, what are you doing? Yeah, I did some changes. What do you think? And you look at like, oh fuck, don't tell anybody. That's why I don't put my signature on any of my bikes.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm so worried.
Yeah, it's like I said, those guys that I kind of took a liking to on their work. It's more the lifestyle that they live on top of building bikes that I've found happy. Like when you're building a bike, and I'm not as experienced at all like you are by any means, but like you said, it becomes your baby, becomes like your vision, and like you have so much vested into it, so much thought, like you spent so much time with that thing in your mind that like to give it away to a customer is almost like, fuck, man, like. And
it's not even giving it away, like they've put so much money in your pocket during the build. So.
Let's say if you're like building it, but then the real challenge is, okay, you can do it for a customer because you know that's your job, but when it's for yourself, it's retraining yourself to understand like, okay, I'm building this bike, I'm gonna sell it, but I'm gonna build it and I'm gonna go take it to Giddy Up and I'm gonna enjoy Giddy Up on this bike, and then when I get back, it's for sale. Yep. You know, like that kind of concept is kind of hard to do.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
But that's the way. You got to become that hard parent. Like, you know what? I'm done with your shit. You're out. You know what I mean? Next bike's going on the lift. You know? And you kind of do it at your own pace. Like, you set yourself a goal. Like, you know, like, I want to have this bike.
My thing, too, is, like, even my customers, like, they get more than they actually fucking pay for.
Yeah, everybody does.
Because it's my baby, and it's got my name on it. Yeah. And when it leaves the shop, it's going to be, oh, wow, man, who did all the work? Adam Garley at Garley's Garage, you know? It's just like people, like, they call me up, and they're like, hey, man, heard you do a lot of good stereo systems and this and that, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah. And, well, I got this stuff that I picked up, and would you? Nope. Oh, man, why not? I was like, no, if I'm not putting the equipment I put in, I'm not interested in it. I'm like, oh, man, why not? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, because here's the deal, dude. And I don't explain to him. I just tell him, I'm just going to have to pass on that. But I appreciate it. You might try this guy or that guy or try this shop or whatever, you know, like, oh, I appreciate it. But here's my thing is, they're going to bring the bike to me. They're going to bring this crappy-ass equipment. I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to tweak on it as much as I can to make it sound the best I can, and it's not going to sound great. They're going to come in. They're going to love it, and you know it sounds like shit. They're going to go to bike night. They're going to play it, and some guy's going to walk up with his buddy and be like, oh, man, let me hear that. And he's going to play it, or he's playing it like that. Oh, man, what do you got in here? Oh, I got this and that, blah, blah. Oh, really? Who did it? Who did it? Oh, Garley's Garage did it for me. He's not going to say, I took my equipment to Garley's Garage, and he installed it for me, and this is what I got. He's going to say, Garley's Garage did it. And the guy's going, oh, man, cool, sounds good. He's going to go about 4 bikes away. He's going to look at his buddy and go like, that bike sounded like shit. I know. And his buddy's going to say, and who did he say did it? Garley's Garage. Okay, remember not to go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like, you just scarred me. Like, and it wasn't even my fault. So nowadays, like, if people don't want to do it, fortunately, I've been in the game long enough to where I don't pay for advertising. Yeah. You won't ever see me advertise. I might do something on Instagram just so I can get some more followers. Like post one of those sponsored ad things or whatever. But like, I don't pay for newspaper stuff. I don't pay for anything in magazines. I don't pay for anything. Google ads. Like the lady that calls up says my Google listing is about to expire. I hang up on her all the time. But,
me too.
You know, it's just, I got a good enough name that I don't have to do that. So luckily, I'm fortunate enough to pick and choose my overheads down. I've learned all about overhead. I mean, that's if anybody gonna start a business, like learn about overhead and stuff like that. What it costs for you to keep the doors open.
Do the job, yeah.
And so I can pick and choose what I'm doing. And then now I got a good deal going with Sounds Customs. So I'm doing the stereo systems in the bikes, and I'm really proficient at it, especially on these newer bikes. I can knock them out pretty good. I bought the $1,200 freaking download tool so I can flash the stereos and stuff like that. So those are kind of helping me. Like when I'm in a build, I can take one in and knock it out in a day. You know, so they drop it off the next night. They can come pick it up. I make a few bucks to keep going on my build. So that way, because I don't know about you, but when people want to pay everything down in the beginning, it's like, no. Just give me part money down, because I make a little bit of margin on the parts, and that kind of keeps my flow going, and then I have this thing to look at when the bike's complete. Yeah,
I've had people that try to pay me in full, and I've also had people that don't. Like me, it's always the same. It's half down at the beginning. I've never, ever had to ask for money between the deposit and the final bill.
Right.
And it's because I know that, okay, like say a full bagger, we're charging $10,000, right? Mm-hmm. $5,000 up front, right? Yep. Obviously all the materials ain't going to be $5,000.
Right.
But me getting to work, me floating my brother's paycheck, me paying the 2 or 3 weeks worth of bills that's going to have to get paid until I get that job done is necessary. And also, like, I've had this happen, like, you know, one guy was like, hey, man, the other paint shop in town, they don't take any deposit down. And I'm like, yeah, and he doesn't feel obligated to get it done in time. Or he doesn't, you know, he's not necessarily binded in any kind of financial way with you.
Right.
You know, and then on top of that, I don't have that kind of money to where I can just float myself. And then what if you lose, something happens, and you don't have your money when I'm done?
Right.
And now I have to, you know.
What happens? You leave a club and you get shot leaving the club in a drive-by that wasn't even meant for you.
Exactly. Like,
your wife going to come and finish paying off your shit?
Yeah, and then I'm going to be the asshole when your wife comes by and goes, we want to sell this off to pay, you know, your kid for my kids, want to give them a college fund, and now I'm like,
like,
and I'm screwed, and it's like one of those deals. So I keep it straight up. I'm like, look, this is what I charge for a deposit on this date. We schedule things, and on this date with the deposit, like, usually I have them do like a $200 or $300 deposit to hold the spot,
right?
And then when they drop the work off, it's half down, including what they've already given me. So if it's $1,500 down, they've already gave me $200, sell $1,300,
right?
And then when the job's done, I get the other half, and then bam.
And it actually works out for both sides.
Yeah.
For the customer, because they know, like, hey, he's gonna get more money when he gets the shit done. And then for us, it's like, hey, we're gonna get more money when we get the shit done.
Yeah.
So like, you can, it gives both
sense,
sides. Yeah,
it's like that's why I stopped doing insurance jobs, because like when the insurance work, they cut you that check and you buy the parts, and then you're like, it's Friday, and you're like, I'm going to the bar, and then you're like, fuck, next thing you know, that fucking money's like $200 gone. You're like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
And then you just eat the money away, and then you're like, a month later when all the parts are finally there and you actually got to spend 2 weeks working on the bike, you're like, I'm not getting paid for this shit,
Yep. That's why I don't like doing that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like insurance work because I don't know how all these people work the system and get paid, because they don't want to pay you crap. And so what I do now is, like, if somebody wants, oh, you do insurance work? Here's the deal. I'm going to write you an estimate. If you come through the door, this is what it's going to cost to fix your bike. You can submit it to your insurance company, let them cut you a check, and then you can cut me a check.
Yeah, because
I don't want the insurance company calling me because you got a rental car. I don't want the insurance company telling me, well, this isn't really damaged and this is blah blah blah. Dude, this is a custom bike. Like, don't like, I'm not working on it for retail stock Harley prices. It's a custom vehicle. I'll tell you how much it's going to cost to fix it, and if you don't like it, take it somewhere else.
Yeah. And the other part that I hate, like we were talking, I don't know if we were doing this on the podcast, but when the customers want to like, we have to pay taxes on that check that's written to us.
Yeah.
So it's like, either A, we have to buy all these parts, and I can't tell you how many times back in the day, like, dudes will be like, they have a loan on the bike, right? So it's either go to HD Financial and them, and they get a 2-party check, and then they get the money that way, or they go to them and then us, and then now the customer's not getting taxed on that check, but I am.
Right.
And now this guy's like, oh, well, I found all these parts on eBay, so just give me the money for that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, like, I need the receipts. I need all this shit to counter this. And next thing you know, it's like, it's just a one-sided deal where the only people that are winning are the customers.
Yeah. And they get a couple scratches and they want a full custom build.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's
I found this on eBay, and these guys only charge this much for paint and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, cool.
Yeah, man.
Have fun. You saw my bill? You bring me that money, and I'll fix your bike. If not, like, kick stones, dude.
Like, when you're younger and you're doing anything, whether it's painting or building bikes, I mean, you kind of got to go through these motions of accepting these type of shitty things.
Right.
And to learn and to understand why,
Yeah.
And plus, you might need it just so you can get your name out there. You might need to do that crackhead shit, you know what I mean? But when you build your name,
But then that's the thing, is you don't want to sell yourself short so everybody knows you as the guy that does the cheap work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like double-sided.
Yeah.
There.
And when I first started painting, I was known as the cheap guy, and at first it was like, man, you know what? I want to be the guy that's affordable that everybody can go to, and you're like, that's the stupidest idea to ever have in anything that involves you being creative and custom and all that type of shit. That's not like, if it was an oil change shop, but there still was a profit margin at me being cheaper than everybody. Yes, but if they're charging $45 everywhere in town to do oil changes, and I'm doing it for $30, and I'm only making $2, and they're making $15 per oil change, and I'm fucking myself.
Yeah, for sure. It's like me. I very rarely change my oil anymore because it's expensive. You go to O'Reilly's. By the time you buy all the shit, it's $45, and you go to the place, and they're going to use their house brand of synthetic oil, but it's an oil change, and it's
probably the same shit anyway.
It's probably the same shit from the same barrel. It's just like, fuck it, and then I don't have to get dirty, and I don't get the oil all over my shop. Yeah,
it's a fine line, like when you're younger, or just in general when you're doing stuff, to find that balance of putting out the quality, but also putting out the stuff in a timely manner. You're learning it. I mean, for some of us, I know me, I learned those hardships on the way of doing business. Like, being cheap, sometimes you're just kind of nervous to sell that paint job at the price. It's just like you were saying earlier about the baggers. Like, if I'm getting this for helmets and then correlate that to baggers, that's what I should be asking. But, it's not the customer's fault because I'm too much of a pussy to go, that bagger's going to be $12,000.
Yep. Yeah. That's the thing, But to be old and wise, you must have once been young and stupid. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah.
But it's just how it is. You gotta find out what your worth is.
Yeah.
And you gotta stick to it.
And
do you want to be cheap ass?
Yeah.
Or do you want to be the guy that's a little more expensive, but you're paying for the quality of the work?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would much rather find somebody be affordable, but don't cut yourself short.
Yeah.
Don't be competing with Harley prices. And that's the stupidest thing in the world too.
$20 an hour.
$120 an hour during the winter when they're probably slower.
Yeah.
And then during the summer they're like $115 an hour for service work. I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. It's just like, be a service rate and all year long. That's what I do.
They got those profit margins they gotta account for,
But it's just weird that why would you jack the prices up during the winter?
Yeah, when everybody's trying to buy Christmas shit.
Yep.
What I hate about the winter time is when everybody and their fucking mom thinks, oh well, I know we talked about this in the summer about starting it in December, but let's wait till January after Christmas, and then it's like, okay, well in January I'm not, I've had to get to a point where like, you have those customers where you start bidding out things and then right when it's like, okay, well, we can do it in September. And, oh, well, I'm thinking more like March. And, it's obviously July or some shit. And you're like, well, I'm not going to be this price in March.
Right. Yeah.
Or I'm not going to be, whatever. Like, I've had guys hit me up for helmets recently go, hey, man, I'm about ready to start on that helmet that they might have asked me about last year. Last year, I was charging crackhead shit to do helmets.
Right.
And I did it just so I can get my name in the helmet game.
Right.
But... like one today, I think he hit me up, and he didn't necessarily gawk at the price, but I know because I saw the messages we had before, and the price I quoted him.
Oh shit!
And I'm like, yeah, dude, we're not even in that same sport anymore, dude.
Right?
And it just sucks. But I mean, like, same thing. You get a lot of people that like, hey, I want to do a bike, but I think I'm gonna wait till winter time, and it's like,
yeah, and it's like, dude, there's no such thing as wintertime in Texas.
Yeah.
I think people put their bikes up for maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah. And
2 weeks out of the year.
Every once in a while, you might get a fucking New Year's Day ride that's fucking 70 degrees and you're in t-shirts.
That's what I'm saying. When people are like, yeah, man, I want to do this. I think, come winter when I'm not riding so much, I'm like, dude, I'll just be honest with you right now. Like, there is no winters in Texas, so maybe I can get to it. Maybe I can't. Yeah. So we'll have to see as we get closer to wintertime. I'm just taking stuff in as it comes. If somebody wants to do it now, it's coming in, it's going in the books, and he's the next guy in line. So you might want to do it in the wintertime, but I won't be able to get to it until February or March. And guess what? That's when our riding season starts. That's probably like our best season.
Yeah, that's when everybody starts.
Because it's still got a little chill to it, so you're riding around with a long sleeve shirt or a light jacket, and that's the best weather ever. Because fuck Texas, man, we went from cold to hot like.
Yeah, we didn't have a spring.
Nope.
At all. It was horrible. It still is, man. It pisses me off every day I walk in the shop. I'm like, fucking A, this is horrible.
That's why you gotta sit. That's like my other shop was bad, like yours.
Yeah.
And when I came out here, that's the first thing I did. I came out here and saw this shop, and shit, I came out here.
You got a nice little east-west thing flow going too.
North-south.
It's north-south.
North-south.
I guess I'm turned around a little bit because I'm thinking the highways. Parallel to this.
Sun comes up from the east over here. It's a little bit off, okay. I think it's like northwest, southeast-ish. But yeah, the sun will come up from like over here, comes over the building, so it comes over the side.
So you don't get any sun coming through. So I don't get any
side coming in the doors. And then, and my biggest worry was the south winds coming in and hitting in the wintertime. It wasn't that bad. It's not that bad here. So, like I said, we only get so cold for so many weeks, and those weeks I'm a little bit slower, so I just fuck it. I'm gonna stay my ass home.
Yeah, I kind of want to get to that point too, man, because like the older I get, I'm getting a lot more sentimental about time with my kids and shit. Mm-hmm. And with my daughter not living down here, when she's here for the winter time, it's like, man, I don't want to be sitting at a shop freezing my ass off when I really would rather be spending time with her. So it's like this year I'm gonna try to get it to where. Hopefully I can either already have my money to get through the month already earned before the month, and be able to take the time off and just spend time and maybe even like still go to the shop, but just focus on myself, maybe work on some welding, things like that, and just not be stressed out from work while I'm trying to spend time with family and enjoy their company. You know what I mean?
They do a business plan where you're supposed to like figure out all your bills for the month, and you're supposed to try to have like a savings account with all of your bills money for 3 to 4 months put aside, and that relieves a lot of stress. A lot of stress because you're still on the hustle, but you know what I mean? You put that money, and you know that account always has to have this much, or you're penalized, or whatever. You penalize yourself, so you never dip into there. And then when you get caught up in your helmets and you say, okay, I'm gonna take helmets up to the end of August, and then I will. So then you start taking deposits and people shipping helmets or paint jobs or whatever in, and then I'm not gonna start on it until September 1st.
Yeah.
And you're number 1 September, you're number 2 September, so you would work September, October, and then maybe take November off. Work December and January, take February off. You know what I mean? Like if you get it right and you keep putting that money back in there, so that way if you do get a little behind, you're not stressed. You can still it's okay, I got time, I can make this up, and you can pay your bills still.
Yeah, I think that's, what you're saying is something that I've been really kind of thinking of, and the way you just said it is very wise, and that's something I'm going to really look into, because I want to start having more free time, whether it is for riding or family or, doing these podcasts and going out to see people and not feel stressed out about it. And, I think my biggest problem is that every time I get $3,000, I've got 14 things that I want to buy.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if it's because I grew up not poor, you know what I mean? Not saying anything about that, but just I grew up not having a lot of cool shit. And so, I feel like the first 15 years of my adulthood has been nothing but me trying to get the shit that I couldn't afford as a kid.
Right.
Or, I couldn't afford as a young adult. And I want to buy it for the validation of feeling like, yeah, I got a badass car or a badass bike or, whatever. So it's like, like I said, I've been breaking down and getting to the point where, I'm putting less money into motorcycles and putting, less money in that stuff and wanting to have somewhat of a savings account.
Right.
Because, dude, I've been completely irresponsible on that front, and.
But we've all been there. I was like that too. Growing up, I put stupid money into my lowriders, and then I bought a daily, and then I fucking turned that into a fucking show car too. It was I'd probably have 2 houses paid off in Las Cruces, New Mexico, if I did not get into the lowrider business, or the lowrider scene. It's ridiculous. But now, and then back then when I was a kid, my dad used to threaten me, if you don't fucking straighten up in school, I'm gonna dress you in Levi's and T-shirts, and that's what no, I want my Gencos, or I want my Tommy Hilfigers, or my Jabots, or you know what I mean? I had to have whatever was cool. And now what do I wear? Fucking Levi jeans and Vans and fucking T-shirts, you know, it's a Dickie pants that I cut into shorts and I look like a fucking hobo, you know what I mean? But my thing now is I want my truck, that little Chevy Colorado 4-door truck. I've had that thing for 10 years now. It's about to hit 200,000 miles on it. I haven't had a car payment I don't know how long. And it's just I see all these guys in these fucking lifted trucks. I'm like, yeah, I want to lift a truck. Oh, and then I see some that are fucking bagged out and shit. And I'm like, oh, I want another bagged out truck and all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I want a fucking dope house. So we have a nice house and we're selling it and we're going to get a house with land. And I kind of want to do the Danny Dixon thing with the pool and the fucking cool party area so I can have people over and we can all enjoy my
oh, God. It's
the
fucking
pool,
cool.
The cooking area, then the garage next to each other with the doors that roll up that are like the gas station doors.
I'm about to just say fuck this and start selling drugs, dude. This is getting ridiculous.
Oh, you just gotta do it right. Do what you're gonna do, get it out of your system, and then bunker down and start start investing in yourself. Because we invested in our house. We lived in a shithole house. For the longest time, we lost probably $57,000, I think, when we sold it because it was such a piece of shit. And now we're looking at over $100,000 in equity in our new house, and we're about to sell it, and we're going to jump into a bigger house with more land, and we want a pool, and I want to shop at the house to put all my toys that are done, kind of like him, in a cool place. And then when we want to have people over and have a party, open it up, and I can move that shit into the garage in the house, or whatever. But like that's my thing now is I want to have a nice house for my kids to grow up in and to play in and do all their different stuff like that, and that means more to me than all this flashy shit, you know.
Yeah.
And then later on, my wife's like, I want to buy you a truck. I'm like, you're gonna spend $50,000 on a truck. Here, give me the $50,000.
Yeah.
I'll put 20 in my car so I can have it looking dope as shit.
Yeah.
I would rather drive a 54 Chevy bagged out with the big white walls and stuff like that than a brand new truck all day, every day.
Yeah.
She's like, but I won't have air conditioning. Fuck yeah, it will. There's a lot of companies that make air conditioning that I can put in there. You know, I'd rather do that and then put some money into something else. You know what I mean? Have a cool hoopty. Maybe buy a van.
Yeah.
For the shop, because it sucks hauling shit around in the back of that little truck.
It does.
You know, and
the van's been awesome, man. It really was a good investment.
the only thing is, it's just not, because that's what I was thinking, a long express van,
do a
but
lot
I
of-
can't put bikes in there without having to tear them all apart and stuff. So it's gonna have to be one of those. Well, Jeff Holt's van is dope as shit.
Yeah, those kind of Sprinter vans are more ideal for like a variety of bikes. But
Yeah,
you know,
but
my
the Sprinter van is a piece of shit.
it is. I didn't know much about it.
Don't get a Sprinter van. The Ford with the EcoBoost, the late model EcoBoost.
A lot of people
van.
have been going the Mercedes route or the Dodge route is the way a lot of people went.
Well, the Dodge is made by the Sprinter.
That's what I know.
Yeah.
And the
And
Mercedes too, right?
They have all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
Like
See,
my brother-in-law had one. He got rid of it right away because he had to replace the whole fuel system in it, and Mercedes not cheap.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted it because of diesel. Now I guess this EcoBoost with the
I'm
turbos
not
or
sure,
whatever
yeah.
on the
Oh,
on,
yeah,
these,
yeah.
on the
I know what you're
van,
talking about, yeah.
the Ford van. It's a Transit.
Yeah.
And you can get the mid roof, so it's not too tall. And then if you're just taking FXRs and stuff, you can get those shorter ones, so you can still park in a regular parking spot.
Yeah.
Because those ones like Rusty Butcher's van and stuff like that, they're so long, you stick out too far in a parking spot. So you
Yeah.
have to park at the outside of the mall. Or,
Yeah, at the back,
Or you know what I
yeah.
mean? You can't go through the drive-throughs. You can't do none of that shit. So
Yeah, it's
But-
I don't know, man. I think that's the van thing was a great purchase. You know, I kind of like driving it every day though. I kind of want a car, just something that's, you know, like I could
Small,
leave the
yeah.
van at the shop,
Yep.
and then just something just super simple, like a little piece of shit Honda Accord or a fucking like Civic that's got AC and
Yep.
it's just cheap on gas. You know,
Small.
I'm not at a point where like I need to have a cool car like that. That's
Right.
I've never really been that way. You know, but. And I'm getting to the point where I don't really care about how cool my bike looks. It's just more about having it, and
yeah.
having certain things that I like about it. And so there's like that part of me that's breaking down to where I'm not super like I gotta have this so that everybody knows I'm still relevant. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's more like I'm trying to do shit. I just don't want to. You know, like me, I'm really on the fence about an adventure bike right now. Like I started looking at I was thinking about doing a Harley, a new Fat Bob, because I was like, man, I'm kind of starting to like these things. But then I was looking at the price tag. I'm like, but I really do want an adventure bike. But there's absolutely nothing I'm going to be able to do in the venture bike to make money. You know, I can't paint it up and then think that all the dudes that ride adventure bikes are going to hit me up and be like,
but
hey,
that
man.
could be your Honda Civic.
It could be, yeah.
You can carry your lunch and some
Exactly,
other shit,
so-
and go buy materials and stuff in those big ass fucking
Yeah.
artillery can
Yeah, exactly.
saddlebags that they have and shit like that. I say fuck it, dude. You can build you your daily dyna, do your FXR, and buy you that bike.
Yeah, and that's kinda what
be
I'm
done
thinking
with
about.
it. Like how many FXRs can you have? Of
That's
course,
the-
1,500.
Yeah.
But just get one and make it a good one. Put some quality stuff on it and make it where you enjoy it and you love it and it looks good and you can paint it. You can paint it and it'll look different every other year. You're a painter.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah, that's,
I can build a bunch of bikes and make them all raw, and that'd be cool. And
Yeah.
then paint it the next year, and people would be like, "When'd you get this?" I'm like, "It's the same one. I just put paint on it." You know. But you can change. You can take off the paint job and change it, and that way, that just like the helmets,
Yeah.
you paint it up. Everybody loves it. You do it, and then you fucking strip it down and you redo it different. But it's the same bike. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I did with my
Get you the
bagger, though.
FXR that you love, and it's kind of showy, and you love it, and set it up how you want it, and then have your daily dyno that's just. You put a paint job on it so it don't get stolen, but
Yeah.
you know, and buy you that that BMW, and if you don't like it, then you sell it.
Yeah,
but
that's
at least
kinda
you
where I'm
have
at.
it to ride it.
You know, I really do like that. Is my 5-year plan, man, to try to get that adventure stuff and really try to get my life squared away to where I can make those kind of trips. You know what I mean? Those real.
Do they make adventure trailers? Because
I'm sure they do.
Then you could hook up a trailer and put all your project shit or all the painted pieces that are done in
Yeah.
that trailer, and then ride that bike to California and drop it off and ride back.
Yeah, you know, what I do still want to do the idea, like me and my wife, you know, we plan to spend like a couple months, like maybe a summer or something in the van. but it's got to be like my daughter's 16. She's going to be 17 at the end of the year. So I got like 2 more years before she's kind of out of school. And then my son will be, 12. He'll be a little bit more mobile. So if we took off for 2 months, it's not going to be the end of the world to my son. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I'm kind of planning for that. And that's kind of what's, those are the real goals that I have in life. And, like we were talking about earlier, it's like, okay, well, if I keep trying to build this Walmart shop, this big ass storefront,
you're grounded.
I'm not going to be able to do those things. And, but there's still that's that old mentality of me and feeling like the only way I'm relevant in the industry is to have that big ass shop. No. Because that's what I grew up in. Like we grew up in that Full Bore and that Stroker's Dallas and like Iron Horse and all these big ass conglomerate shops, the West Coast Choppers and shit. Yep. And it's associated in my brain as success, when realistically I'm finding that real success is just happiness and being able to get by and not being stressed out and worried.
Look at Jesse James. Like he moved out into the sticks. Joe Martin's out in the sticks.
Exactly.
But the people that have big crews and stuff like that, they can drive off like can dig it.
Yeah.
They have people down there doing all the grunt work and shit like that, so they can have the big thing because they hire people to run it when they're not there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Stroker's Dallas.
Exactly. You know,
Rick's not over there peddling beers and fucking running over there and selling parts and then going in the back and building bikes and then coming back up and selling a bike and then going back to he hired people, so he's got people to run it that make him money to have a big flashy shop.
But also, like,
when it's you and yourself, I mean, dude, you can make so much more money if you just bust ass for 2 or 3 months and then take a whole fucking month off and just forward your phones,
Yeah. Like with Rick and a lot of those people like Strokers and stuff, when a lot of these people, and I know Strokers was here before the chopper craze, but the kind of money people were getting back then, like you can make life-changing fucking investments in the shops and you were getting that money back. So like, when I hear about some of the people we've interviewed on this podcast and they say like, yeah, we were getting $60,000, $70,000 to build a bike, 40 of it was profit, or in some form or fashion, even if it was time that was being paid for. Like 40 grand will change a motherfucker's, business, then and now.
Yeah.
And it's like now with baggers, like we were having a problem, or not a problem, but 40 grand was like, into a bike, or 60 grand was like $20,000 of profit.
Right.
So it was a big difference and a lot more work in one sense or the other. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And a lot, like, you weren't getting 2 or 3 years to build a fucking bagger.
Right.
And some people were appreciating the art and the fabrication that went into building choppers. So, 2 or 3 years for Jesse James or anybody to build some hand-built shit was completely acceptable to people.
Yeah.
And
there's different things, too. As far as, like, the people that are real successful that have these shops that have been around since the chopper days and now they're doing bagger, stuff like that, they all had something to keep the flow going.
Yeah.
Arlen S.
Definitely.
Paul Yaffe.
Yeah.
Like, they build stuff as they have new products come out. Look at Eddie Trotta. He's been selling chopper parts for freaking years, and he's still building choppers, and now he's in the bagger game a little bit, and he's doing that stuff, but he's got parts to sell.
Yeah.
John Shope.
Same thing.
He was doing bobbers and choppers, and then he went to the baggers. He was one of the first bagger guys, him and Paul Yaffe. But like, Paul Yaffe was building bobbers and shit like that. Like, his dude, I don't know. Like, Paul Yaffe's one of my favorite builders, which I know you're looking at me funny. Billy Lane, I like the shit that he used to do. Now he's into this old vintage stuff. I'm not into that stuff, so I just kind of like, like that camel bike he had, the hubless camel bike.
Yeah, dude.
That was my like, if I knew where that one was and I won the lottery, like, I would own that bike and I'd be riding the shit out of it. That thing was so sick. But and Jesse James, I liked his stuff too, but they all made and sold parts. Like, even when Billy Lane was chopper shit before he went away for a little bit, he was selling Choppers Inc.
Choppers Inc., that's right, yeah.
He was selling all the parts and stuff like that, and everybody had to have those
machine gun grip things.
Yeah, all that stuff, and then his forward controls. Those things were mad expensive, and they're just fucking bent little pieces of things with CNC laser cut trucker chicks welded on there and then chrome plated, and they wanted like $1,800 for a set or $1,500 for a set, and it's like, dude, like,
crazy.
It's stupid money, and everybody was selling something that kept them going, and then so it didn't matter how long.
You know what I think the difference between that generation and the generation that we're currently working in is that we don't really have the parts. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that make a lot of parts we were talking about, but I feel like the monetizable social media, like the YouTubes and stuff like that, is now like the way that some of us can have that mailbox money basically, and still focus on the custom stuff. But the parts markets are so saturated that it's hard for do we need another seat bolt? Do we need another
Right. And then customer service is going downhill.
Yeah, because
like you call, like I know FXR Mike was having problems with getting his customer service on his wheels and stuff like that. Even Dirty Bird, when I was doing some stuff, like you call me, you order stuff, and like, cool, order's processed. I call them, they're like, well, you order online. Here's your portal, blah blah blah. So you order online, and then it sends you this thing, and you're like, seemed like everything was in stock, so you're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then like you're like calling them up, and they're like, oh well, no, we didn't have it in stock. It's still being built.
Yeah,
why don't you tell somebody something?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it's like now wheel manufacturers, I know they're 3 to 6 to 8 weeks out.
Exactly.
Like I know for a fact, but like different stuff when you try to call like Legend Suspension, I needed something from, like, they don't have a number on their website. You have to email them, and then they'll call you, and then you screenshot the phone number, or you save the phone number that they called you from, just that way you can start talking to them.
Yeah, and also like
everything's so,
they build to order too, so you're still there's lead time on all that.
Oh,
shit.
that was a big thing too, because I like big time race tech person. Like race tech this, race tech that. But then like the springs weren't coming on the same rates. I went out and we were testing the spring rates on some springs. They're way off,
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm gonna go race tech in the front, so I want race tech in the back. So I want those GS3 shocks. Dude, they were like 9 weeks out. I'm like, what the fuck? And they were mad expensive, just like Olin's. And I call Olin's up, and they're like, let me see, what do you want? Yeah, I can get those valved and sent out to you. I'll probably get them out on Friday. I'm like, it's Wednesday. He goes, yeah. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Here's my credit card. Take my money.
Exactly.
It's like Olin's has a great customer service base, and like people are freaking out because I'm like, they call me up. I'm like, I want some shocks, some good shocks for my bag. Not the air ride guys. But I want a good shock for my bike. I'm like, get some Olin shocks. I'm like, oh my god, those are crazy expensive. Like, you don't have to get the piggybacks and shit like that. You can have a badass shock without a piggyback for a reasonable
Their Black
price.
series
They're
are
like
good, like
$600.
Yeah. They have a series that's right around $700 or $650 or something like that.
Progressive shocks, how much are they? $800, $700, same price, and you're getting a much superior quality shock.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like you don't have to go ape shit. Like, things are getting affordable. They're more affordable than people thought. Back in the day, they were really expensive because they were kind of tipping their toes in the market. So it was a lot for them to shut down what they're doing to build this shock for you. So it's going to cost you more. Now they're like, well, shit, all these bagger guys, Harley guys want our shocks now. So now they're producing them. Shit, they're in the
hard drive.
Yeah. They're in the hard drive book now, ready to ship.
Exactly. So the
Fox shocks that I got, those are from hard drive.
But yeah, like I was saying, man, like, so I'm kind of feeling like for some of us, like some shops or some types of businesses that, finding a way to bring monetizable social media is a new way of like staying, obviously you can't sustain a business, or not, most of us not gonna be able to sustain a business off YouTube checks, you know what I mean?
Right.
But you start making some stuff, like you make a lot of videos and stuff and post them out. And
I love doing videos and pictures and stuff like that, but it's hard to do that and still keep the work going. And then like, I'm like, all right, so I take all these pictures and I just load them on my card, and then I'm like, I'm gonna go home and edit it and then do that. But dude, I get home, I start playing with my kids, and we go walking around the pond and riding our bicycles.
Well, see,
and then I get back, I'm like, fuck, I haven't posted anything for a long time. I look, I'm like, fuck, I lost 3 followers this week, and so I get all butthurt.
You get the follower anxiety.
Yeah, I'm like,
no, so like my thing
me.
is like, how you were talking about working a certain amount of time and setting time to do stuff. It's like, so what I was thinking about doing for our YouTube, with like, say, the helmets, because it's easier to video a helmet being painted or doing stuff to it than a whole bagger. You know what I mean? There's just too much shit, or even a Dyna is too much shit.
Right.
So a helmet, you can kind of go through the process and this, that, and the other, and it's like, I want to be at a point where I can, I'm working 4 days, and I'm editing videos or something for one day of work. I'm still working,
right?
And I'm just spending that day to handle my social media accounts and stuff, and that's kind of where I'm trying to get to. But it all comes with like having the time outside of like you said earlier, like you see bikes all day, you're around bikes all day, and sometimes, man, I just want to go home and be with my wife or my kids.
Jump on your bike, run down, grab a brew, or grab a cool meal, or go,
So it's like you get to that, it's like I don't want to go home and edit the same shit all day. So you gotta structure yourself, to where you give you that time to do it.
And then I'm like, I turn off my notifications. I don't know if you do.
Dude, I did that. Oh man,
I have my notifications turned off, because if not, that thing dings. And I don't know about you, but if my phone if it chirps like the battery's low, I'm like over there looking to make sure it's okay. And then I'm like, well, while I'm here, I'll check Instagram, I'll take Facebook. So I turn my notifications off. I try to turn my ringers off.
Yeah.
Just because if not, I don't get any work done. And then when I go home, I should be with my family, and then I'm over there looking to see what everybody else was up to today. And so it's like, it's just hard. Like, kind of want to like hire my daughter to just like, I'll just send her stuff and she can just kind of keep going with, you know what I mean? Just take a bunch of pictures and send them to her and just pay her to do all my just posts and videos and stuff like that.
The thing that sucks about the posts though is that these people, like I said, for us, we get all our business from Instagram. So, we post a helmet, we get 40 inquiries for helmets, and someone that knows the workload, knows the price, knows the style, knows whether or not we're interested in doing that job, has to answer that stuff. So like I said, there's that almost like unescapable, dilemma that you have to deal with it. You know what I mean? But
then when you're at the house, because you can't do it during the day when you're working, so you go home and then the wife wants to talk to you, and you're like responding, and she's like saying something, and the next thing you know, you're like, yeah, dude, I can do it for dinner tomorrow night. Wait, what? What the back up? You know what I mean? Like, and then you get the arguments with the wife, like, you're always with your face on the phone and blah blah blah, and it's like, man, my family's way more important than this fucking message and stuff like that. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. And
it's just a new era where we having to find a way to cope with it. And the thing is, like I said, it's a great thing because with social media, like I can sell a helmet or you can sell a product or whatever to somebody.
I don't sell shit off of social media. I don't get nothing. I lucked out, and this guy sent me that thing from New Jersey, that West Coast chopper to build from New Jersey because of Instagram. Other than that, dude, it's just all my buddies liking my shit.
Yeah, I mean,
some other guys are sending me text, man, you really inspire me, and this and that, and oh man, you're a good family guy. I'm like, that's cool, and then like I post family stuff, and I get like 14 likes, 20
Same
likes,
with me.
And then I post a picture of like a wheel spacer, and it's like 68, 103. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, it's like, so that's why I try to keep my my personal, and so if you want to see my kids and shit, like I used to be really weird about that.
Yeah, like
just because there's a lot of pervs and shit out there and stuff like that, and I'm not the only one. There's celebrities out there too. Like for the longest time, Carrie Hart.
Yeah.
Him and Pink would never take a picture of their kid's face. Like you'd see her from the back, and you'd see her from all angles and stuff like that, doing stuff, but never of her face. And then all of a sudden they started doing the face thing. I think they're just like over it, like whatever.
Yeah.
But like that's how I was. Like I didn't want people like checking out my kid. We used to have a hashtag for our kids, and then all of a sudden it just kind of died away because I was like, I don't really want people just
like
hashtagging my kid.
All
of my pictures of my kid. But now it's just
your
like
daughters
whatever.
are funny as hell though, so
they crack a lot of people. They got a lot of fans out there.
Yeah,
especially Chloe, man. She'll get online. She'll want to do a video, and like next thing you know, like, will you help me? I'm trying to raise money for my school and blah blah blah. Next thing you know, she's like the highest one in the class in the school for raising money and stuff like that. And so
she's using the tools, man.
Yep.
But see, like for what I've been trying to do is like, my wife's the same way. She doesn't want to come, and when we're finally together, it's me on the phone. But unfortunately, the two ends of the stick is like, a lot of our customers are Cali, and whether it's 10 o'clock here, it's only 8 there. They're just getting off work, and so you kind of it becomes a struggle. But like, I don't know, man. It's just something we have to deal with. We got to find that happy medium. And like I had one customer that was hitting me up about a helmet. It was like 10 o'clock here, and he just responded with, "I guess you're not interested." And of course, it didn't sound like that, like how I just said it.
Yeah, you can't.
But
read
that's
emotion.
how I took that, and I'm like. And I sent him I responded and said, dude, it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm actually at dinner with my wife right now.
Yep.
Fuck you. I'll get to you when I can.
Right.
When people talk about customer service like you did before, like customer service now is being it's being used as a way to describe something that you never had this opportunity before.
Right.
A long time ago, you couldn't just text, Jesse James at fucking his house in the middle of the night and be like, hey, I'm interested in some floorboards, and you don't get a response, and you're like, you have horrible customer service. Like, no, motherfucker, it's the middle of the night.
Yep.
Just because you're awake, send me a message, and when I get to it, that's the whole joy of text messages. It's a convenient thing that you deal with.
It's a pain in the ass, but I rock 2 phones.
Yeah.
And I look like a drug dealer or whatever, but it's so that I can separate my life. So my customers have one number, and now found out a way so that I can have a text thing. So I turn it on at 6 o'clock. I turn it on and it says, hey, I appreciate you reaching out to me and blah, blah, blah. So it automatically responds to him, tells him, hey, I'll reach you. You're reaching out on non-business times and blah, 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 and this and that. And so now I turn that on at 6 o'clock and I turn it off at like 6 or 8 in the morning. Whenever I get up, I'll get up early and I'll turn it off early,
Yeah.
But I have it so it responds and then I have my cell phone and that's the one I go and text my buddies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it just because a lot of businesses are ran off of cell phones now, and now because they find out that it's a cell phone, then they text you. So at 10:30 at night, they're like, I was looking at this. What do you think of this? And it's like, dude, it's 11 o'clock. And I've had things where I'm asleep. And my wife like shakes me. She goes, "Who the hell's texting you?" Well, they text me 16 photos of something that they saw online while they were up at night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I get that all the time. Man.
I get up early in the morning and I get up early, so I go to bed kind of early. Like I don't know, it's not early, but 11 o'clock. But 9:30, like I want to chill. That's 8 o'clock. The kids are in bed, so then I start watching my shows I have recorded, and I'm just relaxing and just enjoying my time of not being in the shop and not doing anything. And then I go to bed and I'll look through the gram and then I go to bed. But I don't want my phone going off the whole time I'm trying to relax and stuff like that, because it's somebody like, oh man, my bike's on, my steer's not working, or my bike. Like, okay, dude.
Like, but you're gonna access it right now.
Yeah, and then they want a fix right then and there. It's like, I don't know, dude. Call Harley.
Yeah.
Is Harley gonna answer?
Yeah, exactly.
Is Joe Blow Shop gonna answer? The guy that has a landline? No, but because mine's a cell phone, they think I'm gonna answer right away.
It's like me, and I was talking about the dude that I wanted to get the pipe from, and I'm pissed because his shit's appointment only, and he only has a shop phone.
Yeah.
And I can't get a hold of him, so I'm going crazy because I'm used to this instant access to everybody. Yep. So while I'm also talking shit about people that do it, I'm also guilty of it because of how convenient it is to communicate now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just tough, man.
But that's why, like, I have kind of hours, and I tell people my hours. I'll answer the phone till 6, but like sometimes I'm not at the shop till 6. Like I go watch my daughters tumble a little bit because it's just right up the road, So my wife will come by and honk, and I'm like, oh shit, it's time for tumbling. So I'll shut the shop down for an hour, go down there, watch them tumble for a little bit, and then I come back. And people are trying to pick up or drop off a bike, so I have to be accessible, So sometimes I'm like, he's like, man, I can only do weekends. Well, hold on, let me check with my wife and see what I got going on. I'm like, nope, I can meet you at the shop at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday so you can pick up your bike. Oh, man, that'd be great. Cool. So I'll go out of my way to come over here, let him in. And we might be going on our way to Dallas to hang out with my sister. So we just stop by, we wait for him, he gets his bike, he rides off, and then we leave from here and we go to Dallas. I'll bend over, I'll break the rules or try to work something out with him so I'm not totally like, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., because I have to be, I'm flexible on my hours because I'm doing personal stuff or running errands or something like that. So I've got to be flexible for them as well. But, more than likely, if you message me or call me after 6 o'clock, you're going to get a message.
Yeah, and that's, I think right now, like I said, I haven't taken in any new work since April. So most of the stuff has just been like maybe answering a couple questions for helmets and stuff. And it's usually how much, when can you do it, and this is the price range, this is the earliest we're taking in helmets. And, and I tell them, like, look, I'm only going to take 4 in September. In September 1st, I'm only taking 4 helmets. And those 4 helmets are all in this price range. So if you want to do something that's only like maybe something we would charge this much for, I don't know if I'm going to take it in because there's such a high demand at this rate. And, you know what I mean? I'm hoping that it'll kind of, not that I want to be off social media because I do enjoy the challenges of creating content and creating a follower, a fan base, whatever you want to call it, but I don't want to be a slave to. Dude, we were at bike night last night and this kid walked up to me and said, hey man, are you guys on Instagram? If so, follow me, I'll follow you. And it was like the new bum, like wanting $1,
like wanting a cigarette, bumming a cigarette.
Yeah, it's like, and I'm like, the dude had like 3,000 something followers. I gave him a follow, you know what I mean, just helping him out. But it's like, damn, dude, like, we're coming to that in the world. Like there's no currency on Instagram. There's no monetization of it, but yet we value so much of it, of who has who, and you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's so crazy when I meet people that are that I am blown away by who they are, and yeah, they have 1,500 followers. Like, this dude's way more successful than me. He's way more better at his job than I am. You know, it's just a game, man. It really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's the thing too is you look at him. He's got 3,000 followers, but he follows like 4,600 people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Mine, I'm at, I don't know, 1,500.
Yeah.
And I follow like 800 maybe.
Yeah, you want to follow
less.
things that are relative.
Like,
I mean,
I follow people or businesses that I look up to or inspire me or something I'm into or something like that. Like, there's a couple, like, if you look at the people I follow, there's going to be a couple snowboard places, you know, nautique boats, you know, stuff like that, because I like, ooh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, you're
Look
into
at
that kind of
you know,
stuff.
I'm into that stuff. And then on my personal one, I have like my cousins and stuff like that, you know, and family members and stuff like that, because it's more personal, you know. That's the one. When I'm on there, I want to see what my cousins and my aunts and my uncles and everybody are doing. But I only follow back on my business page, mostly businesses, you know. There's some random guys or girls, not girls, mostly guys.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I used to follow a lot of chicks, man, but I had to stop following them because, man, you're sitting there on Instagram and you're just kind of hanging out with your wife and you follow this tattoo model page and these chicks are, the nipple's there, dude. You can see it. You know it's there.
And you zooming in and kind of turning your phone so she can't see. And
I'm like, or you're walking away so you can like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom real quick. And you're like, oh, that looks good.
Look at that girl.
I stopped following all those pages, man, because I was like, man, at first when I started following them, is literally because I used to airbrush a lot of chicks.
Yeah.
You know, whether it would be like lowrider shit or on, but I don't ever airbrush girls anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't really get the request to do it. So it's like I don't really have the need to follow it. And plus, it's kind of desensitizing, man. Like, when you get your head wrapped up in all this fucking, like, over-the-top women asses that are fucking retarded. And, you know, it just gets, like, you know, like, I'm really happy with what I got, man. So I don't want to be, like, I don't ever want that to, what I have to feel, like, not adequate enough.
Right.
You know?
Right.
In some weird way.
Yeah.
So I try not to follow that shit. And plus, you don't want to be sitting next to your wife and you're scrolling down. And it's bad enough that some of the bike people we follow, they'll post some shit and you're like, it's a bike page. I have nothing. I'm not following Big Asses USA right now.
That's the thing is, like, I keep it real like that too with my wife, you know, because if she ever opened up my phone, fucking open it up, look at it.
Yeah,
you know my code. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, I have nothing to hide. You know, there's gonna be a couple things, like Sabina Kelly is probably like that's my girl right there. Like, I just think the world of her. I know she's probably major problems and trouble or whatever, but it's my chick right there. Like, tatted up and all that stuff. Like, that's a cool tatted up chick. She's hot. Some of these other ones where they're got tattoos like in random spots and all over, I'm like, no. Like, I like her because she can keep it classy, but she can keep it hood too. You know.
You know, and there's like a lot of cool chicks out there that ride that I follow, and it's not because, you know, I'm trying to get them or anything. It's just, you know, I want to support the motorcycle community in every way I can, and there's a big movement of women riding. I mean, we just had the podcast with Giselle on there, and there's a whole market there. And I even told my wife, I was like, you know, I'm gonna do a podcast with a chick. I don't want you to, you know, I don't want you to freak out, you know, because. You know, my wife, she's not an insecure woman, but I mean, I get it if she is, because, you know, of our place in the industry, and there's lots of women, and then the women bikers.
Is he gonna like her because she's decent looking, and,
or because we have a conversation about
she's
bikes.
Into bikes, and he's into bikes, and
so there's a place for her to have some type of insecurity, and I respect that. So, you know, I just wanted to know that, like, you know, hey, you know, we're just doing this podcast. I guess we have women listeners too that, I mean, I'm not sure, but I think we do. I know we have a couple. And her story was cool. I mean, she's doing harder shit than some of us dudes are doing. So I just, you know, I think that, you know, some guys needed to hear that shit, you know? And same thing. Like I said, I just wanted to, you know, highlight people. I think Jeff Holt told me the best. It's like, you just want to be the mirror of what's out there. And if you have the ability to get it to people, you know, in whatever, I guess this is some form of journalism. Right. You know, it's like you want to just mirror the world and show the world what you see or what you're seeing. You know what I mean? So it's kind of the method I'm trying to go about. Yeah. You know, and trying to weed back the opinions about things, but also still have an opinion. You know what I mean? Right. So, I don't know.
I think what you need to do, because you got a camera.
Yeah.
What do you have? What camera are you shooting with?
I got my Nikon D700 or 7000 or something, 7200. Okay. I have a 7200.
Do they sell the batteries that go in it, and then you can just plug it in the wall? Because Canon does.
I can just plug it in the wall, and do that.
You need to do that with a little tripod and set it up with a little boom thing and set it right here, so it picks up the two people talking, and then you can download that so people can, one, hear it and on your podcast, or two, go to your YouTube channel and do that.
We were looking at doing the stuff, and man, I don't know. I even asked people on here, is like, there's something called a TriCaster, which is a way that basically we record it and it gives us an audio file and a video file that's all linked up together. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's another thing that does that, but I know the TriCaster is what Rogan uses. Mm-hmm. And I looked them up. This motherfuckers are $20,000.
Yeah, no. So, like mine, I do some of my videos and I'll put it out with the 50 millimeter lens. Yeah. No, not the 50. I use a 24.
Yeah.
So I put it with a 24, so I'm still not crazy blurred out. You know what I mean? There's some stuff in the background, and I'll put it out there. And then I have plugged right into there. I have that little Rode mic, and it just sits there. And I just put it where it's out of frame. Yeah. And then I can talk. So if you put it right in the center, I mean, nobody cares. Yeah. And it'd be kind of like San Diego Customs is doing it now, where they're doing their podcast, and it's just like a third angle, but it looks like, I think they got like 4 guys filming from different angles, because there's all kinds of different angles. But if you put it there, that way you could see the people that you're talking to, and see
we want to do that,
with
man.
Their hands and I think, like, right now, if you're doing it, if you have that thing plugged in and a big enough card, it just depends. If you do it with Chris Moose, you'd have to like pull 220 or something like that, because 4.5 hours.
You get 3-phase.
Yeah, you'd have to get 3-phase just to keep enough battery going.
No, but like that is the goal, and I even think I talked about it on the intro to this podcast. Is that I want, after this August thing, I'm going to reinvest a lot of time and effort back into this podcast to have more ways of it being, whether it is a visual thing or whatever. And, I'm trying to get the money of it. I'm trying to get the Patreon up so that it can cover it, and things like that. Obviously, the Patreon to help us get gas money was a bad idea, because I got gas money to go to fucking Indianapolis, but I lost the bike. So I don't, I'm a little butthurt on that right now. But just if I can get it to cover some of the livelihood that it takes to do these things, or just being here. I mean, I got here at 4 something. I had to leave work early today to make it across town. You know what I mean? So it's one of those deals, man. I want to do more, and I want to keep doing this, because we've had nothing but solid people, and I feel like we've gotten better at it since we started.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It really is. You know what I mean? So we want to do it. We just got to get it to where it's a little bit more monetized, so that it can supplement some of the loss of time from being at the shop and being at work. You know what I mean?
But some of the people, like when you're podcasting and stuff like that, like I might not follow them, so it's like I want to know who they are, what they look like what's their person. What if I want to, like, if I bump into this guy and I never knew, I'm like,
exactly,
that voice kind of sounds familiar, but who was that? You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool to see the faces and stuff. Well,
also, I mean, doing that,
but I think that would be a cheap way. If you just it'd be cheap
it's
for
about
a
getting the
tripod.
sound
You already
quality.
have your deal, and then if you get a Rogue mic that maybe sets up and it has the two little things going like that, and it's set in the middle, and then you turn that one up a little bit more or something like that. I don't know.
You can actually connect this to the cameras and record. It has the thing that goes right there, the zoom. But like I said, man, it's just, if I had a week where I can not work,
sit there
and
I
watch
could just YouTube videos or talk to somebody
and learn, I'll be able to
places.
do everything I want to do, but financially I can't afford to take a week off. And so I'm trying to fit it in extra time and shit, but it's gonna happen, man. It's just slow. We're 7 months into this podcast now, and it's great. It's going good. We have a great response. And obviously, one thing I realized, I'm a huge Joe Rogan and a lot of other listeners, Chris Ryan, a lot of other great podcasts that aren't motorcycle related by any means.
Right.
And one thing I realized when doing these podcasts is, like, how do you keep the conversation interesting?
Right.
When you're really just talking about one facet of things, you know what I mean? Right. Like it gets to a point where it's like, even like right now, like we're not necessarily talking about motorcycles, we're talking about podcasting, but it's relative.
Yeah.
And you just want to, you want your conversations to, maybe go wherever and not just be like your story. What's your story?
Right.
Oh, I grew up. My dad was a this. You know what I mean? Like
that's the thing. It's better when it's off the cuff, because it's real.
Yeah.
It's real.
And so, like, it's almost like same thing with Danger Dan. It's like you do that first year of everybody getting to know who everybody is, and next year we're just catching up, talking shit, and sometimes those are the podcasts that I feel like are the best, because it's just like you said, off the cuff. It's just there's no agenda with this conversation. It's just talk. Let's just what's going on, man? What's that project? Or if we had a camera there, you could just point over, and when you're pointing at these bikes over here on the other side of the shop, they're like, damn, that's a sweet ass FXR over there or whatever. Yep. And we want to be able to go live on like YouTube and stuff. Yep. And I have a close friend that does YouTube videos and he does a lot of art things. They go live and shit. Dude's making stupid money on. He's only got like 10. I mean, only, but he's got 10,000 subscribers. His fucking rent at his apartment in downtown Dallas is paid from YouTube.
Yep.
And I'm like,
and it's not that expensive to hook it up to your laptop and because you got that little module thing, and then once you have the little boom mic, like these guys are doing it all day long, and you don't have to have crazy stuff. You know what I mean? You can get the tripod with the little ring in it with your camera in there, so you can get some good lighting in it if you need to, and then that little deal so that you start it live here and you're actually using a high quality camera. Yeah.
And so what I was talking about, with the shop issue is like, okay, maybe I can find a smaller shop. I still have a room that I could do some painting in, so I can do my helmets and smaller projects. But I still need another room that I can, or maybe another area. Like my old shop that I had that you came and helped us build the diner in that time. Like my office where I did all my artwork, that would have been the dopest room space-wise to do videos, to do podcasts, to do all this shit. And it's enclosed and it was AC and heated.
Yep.
And it's almost like that's kind of what I want to find is something where I can kind of have a studio / shop, like man cave kind of thing where...
Dude, it could... I mean... Yeah.
I live in an apartment now, so I don't have the garage anymore. So that kind of hindered some of the podcasts at being at home, and the shop's been a fucking sauna, you know. So it's just been one of those deals where it's been hard to get comfortable podcasts. But the winter's coming again. Where this heat's not gonna last, and it'll give me a couple of months to kind of figure out what the next move is and where to take it. Because I would like to invest more into this and do more and have a studio set up so that people came in and all the cameras were set up and we can talk and all that stuff, and it will happen. It's just growth.
I think even if you did it on a budget deal, so you could go places, and you could go to their shops that's air conditioned, or go meet them somewhere where you can go sit to the back that might, you know what I mean. If these things are directional mics, you have it pointed right at them, and you can kind of see, okay, cool, we can sit here and hang out and have some fucking chips and you don't want to hear something, but have a beer or whatever and do a quick podcast or something like that, That's the thing too, is like videos and YouTube videos and stuff like that. Like I do a lot of YouTubing just to watch these different people. I always end up with like these little girls doing makeup shit and whatever, but they got a lot of good tips, and they're like, don't make it too long, and some of the podcasts, like I'm like, oh shit, these things are getting
so
long.
crazy. Like some girl doing eyebrows has got like 40 million views.
Yeah, but you look at her and it's like, they're not looking at the eyebrows, they're looking at her face and her butt or whatever. You know what I mean? There's a lot of look at it. Are there any ugly people or ugly chicks with more followers than you? No. All the hot ones that show tits and ass have crazy followers. Yeah. It's... I'll be honest with you, I'd rather follow chicks than guys all day long. But,
Yeah, it's one of those deals, man. I think it's all going to come. It's about being... It's investment, man. It's all it is. Like anything you invest your time in, work-related, podcast-related. It was the trip I took to Missouri to go look at that bike I didn't buy. When you texted me, I was like, I'm going to Missouri and shit. And I was like, and it was on that trip that I was listening to some podcasts, some other shit. And I was like, even though everybody's already talked about trips, it's like, man, maybe I should do a road trip only podcast where I just find people that talk about their trip. And that's the whole topic of conversation. And we might segue here and there, but the purpose of the conversation is that trip. So when people are looking through our podcast and they're really feeling some fucking travel shit right now, they're going through that travel fucking, just rabbit hole, then they can look in that podcast and listen to it and be like, fuck yeah, that sounds so rad. And just, put the icing on the cake of which they're conceiving in their mind,
and mix it up. I mean, it's cool. Like I like Dan's. He mixes it up too. The only thing I don't like is like I'm not into the music he's into. So like I'm always like add 15 seconds, add 15 seconds, add 15 seconds. But I love his road shows are fucking awesome. I'm not into the music, so I fast forward through that. I'm not gonna lie, but like him talking and like, oh, I'm over here, and I just passed these motherfuckers back here, or I'm over here. Oh, man, I'm on the side of the road again. Like I wish he would put more of that in there and less music. Like, dude, I dig the crap out of it. I love it. I love hearing, and it's fun to hear. Just like me, like when I mess stuff up, like I don't know if you saw the wrench deal that I posted. Like I just set it up to show me like moving some stuff around, and it just happened that freaking wrench broke, and it was like real emotional. Like, holy crap, did that just happen? Like, what the hell? I've never seen that, And it looked really dorky, but that was 100% real. It's just and I like the real stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Just like I'm saying, like if you have your opinions, that's real. I like that stuff. I might not agree with it, or somebody else might not agree with it, but it's real.
That's what I told everybody. Is like, look, I'm honest, and I'm not one of those. I'm not a stubborn person, or I might be, but I try not to be. I try to be open-minded so that if I have an opinion,
right,
it can be changed.
Yeah.
And it has been since we started this podcast, 100%. I started this podcast like, fuck baggers, fuck anybody that doesn't want to ride, but I've slowly adapted because I've been educated through the people I've talked to, and
you were on that performance bagger kick for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I still am. I love that shit.
And it was funny because you were like all about the performance bagger, and then you brought it up to
royalty.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, it's like bringing a buffalo to a horse race. Oh my god, I about fell out of my damn chair when he said that. I thought that was hilarious.
Everybody liked that shit. Yeah, it made no sense, but yeah,
but it's real. It's something you're into, And then you had some guy on there talking about some page, and I started following it. Dude, those baggers haul ass on that one page. I don't even know what it's called. Yeah, I follow it now.
That it was something they were talking about doing the races down in New Orleans. I think it was the fucking Horsepower Inc. podcast we did. And they was talking about, was it the outlaw baggers or something like that?
Yeah, dude, some of those baggers are sick power makers, man. Whoo! And it's like they, that's not a buffalo.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not a buffalo. That's
but
a
it's just
stallion right there.
the concept, like
it doesn't make sense. Then you see stuff like MJK, and it's just like, dude, he's got 40 grand in his front end.
Exactly. That dude, I wish he was in the States, man. We kind of started talking a little bit more, on a text message basis a while back, and he was kind of pushing towards moving to the States, and then when he got smart and he just put his shit in drag, so it didn't matter about being here, but. What they're doing is cool up there, man. Like you're the one that told me about the guy. You know what I mean? I started following him back when he was building shovels and all those old motors and shit. Pristine.
He had that front end on the bagger was on that shovel head.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. That shovel head was going to be gnarly, but I don't know. Hopefully whoever bought it is going to continue it. But yeah. There's some cool shit out there.
Definitely. Well, shit, man. We're at 2 hours 45 minutes, man. I think my wife's texting me already.
Come on, dude. We got 2 more hours and we can beat Chris Moose.
Yeah, I don't know if I have that much. We have that much water and everything in here. So, all right, man.
Well, thanks for coming out, dude.
What's the Instagram and the Facebooks?
The gram is Garleys Garage. It's just like Harley, but with a G. Garleys Garage. And then Facebook is the same thing. And then my personal one's _Garley, I think.
Do you have a website and everything, or is it?
Yeah, it's garleysgarage.com.
Nice.
GARLEYS garage.com.
You guys give Garley a follow so he can feel good tonight when he goes to bed.
Yeah, man. Because I'm like stuck at like 1,500 followers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to build up my stuff so that I can.
You just want a better audience so that when you do stuff, you can.
Actually, I don't. Like, I want to get a bigger following so that maybe I could start, how like you get to a certain point and then like people start like, oh man, if you start showing my product, I'll throw you some free stuff. Like, cool, I want to check it out, but then I want to give it away because like not all the stuff that you get is what you want.
Yeah.
So if I don't want it, then like let's do a giveaway. Let's do does somebody out there need it type of thing, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, I like giving back to people because I can afford my own shit. I just have too much shit to work on, so that's why it comes out so slow. But I can afford my own stuff. But like, if I could get free shit, like, man, I'm more than happy to kind of pass it on.
See, I've had a guy that reached out to me that wanted to give us a handmade knife to raffle off, but I'm not really into raffles as much.
Right.
I would rather do like Dan does and just kind of like give it to like do a drawing for the people that are supporting you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Exactly.
And I would rather do that. Rather, he was trying to do it as a way to like, give us money, which to me, it's like, if we raffled off and I made $500, cool. But man, if we can just get people to want to be on the Patreon, then, that $1 a month or that $5 or $10 or whatever people are doing, that becomes $500 a month.
Yeah. Exactly.
And if, I'm hoping that at some point, like I have the free time to where I'm like, guess what, guys? I have free time. Simpson dropped me a new helmet, or they said that they have a budget this month. They'll give me a helmet. It's going to be yours. Somebody in our Patreon is going to win it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying that, so don't think that I'm giving the helmet away right now. But
okay, everybody. It's not really.
So get to a point where I can give back, and I plan on doing that stuff, man. It's those little things that eventually, once I've gotten to that point to where I can afford to do those things, and I'm doing it. I see people and I want to give them a helmet that's custom painted by me, but I'm like, fuck, I can't really afford to just give everybody that I know and like a helmet.
Right.
You know, but it would be cool to get to a point because there is some kind of
dude, give giveaways for the Patreon supporters and get some stuff from your sponsors. You know,
that's probably a good idea.
Paint Huffer might give you 4 little bottles of flake. I mean, it's not that much, but I mean, it's something that if a Patreon's giving away, then they get it, you know?
Yeah, that's cool.
Unless you're going to be FXR Mike, be the first Patreon and never get anything.
Yeah, exactly. Poor guy.
He's such a good dude.
Yeah, he is.
But, no, but that's, you know, there's always something, you know what I mean? When you do that, cool. You can be a sponsor, and you have any little stuff that I could give away to my Patreon supporters, you know, because and explain to them what you're doing, and I'm sure they'd kick you down something.
Yeah, I think so. There's always that aspect of asking for things. It becomes
hard.
The hardest part is I'm asking for, you know, like a fee to sponsor us.
Right.
But then it's like, oh, and it'd be cool if you gave me a bunch of free shit. You know?
Not even
a lot
a bunch.
Of them do.
Not even a bunch. Like, hey, every 6 months, do you mind kicking me down something? Maybe one of your new products. I give it out to one of my supporters or whatever, or a coupon or a gift card. T-shirt. Well, see, you know, T-shirts.
For a while, like Paint Huffer and like Manic Crew, when we were doing them, they had that code. But then they just stopped doing the code. I don't know. And I'm like, man, like that. I think that's a good idea. Like, if you know what I mean, personally. But like I said, I haven't been able to invest enough attention. I've been so stressed out about giving people a podcast to hear. The back end of the podcast, I haven't had the time to focus on it, and that's what I want to get to, because I get a huge satisfaction whenever I release this podcast and people hit me up and go, fuck, dude, that shit was rocking. Or people are fucking driving their car doing live or Instagram, you know, stories on that shit. Like, I'm like, wow, these dudes are giving me their attention for this amount of time, or they're giving our guests this attention. Like, I feel obligated to give them my attention when I'm not doing this and giving them better content.
Well,
you know what I mean?
it's your job's a full-time job. Mm-hmm. Your podcast's a full-time job. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot. IG is a full-time job, actually, you know, if you think about it. So it's just hard. You just got to kind of work it together.
Yeah. Figure out the way
It's a good thing you're young and you can do this shit, because I'm old and I'm not doing all that shit.
I feel old, but it's all
no
good.
podcast for me.
All right. For real this time.
Cool. All right. We'll talk more
Bye.
when we get off this.
Peace. What's up? Welcome back. Thank you for checking that out. We had a good time, man. It's always good talking to Garley. He's a veteran in this industry, and it's always nice to hear his perspective and, you know, emailing, keep me in check. You know what I mean? It's friends like that you need. So yeah, thank you again, Adam. Hope you guys check him out. Dude needs some followers. Adam. Anyway, don't forget about our sponsors, Texas Performance MC, TexasPerformanceMC.com on the website, and obviously the Instagram as well. Also, Paint Huffer Metal Flake on IG, PaintHuffer.com, HorsepowerInc.net, Horsepower Inc. on Instagram, www.hdvtwin.com. Nope, I said that all wrong. I'm sorry. hdtwin.com. Hard drive parts. Check those guys out. I appreciate them for being supportive of this podcast and helping it keep going and keep rolling. Appreciate all you guys. I think in the midst of recording this podcast, driving back home to Dallas and sitting down and having dinner with my wife, we got another Patreon supporter. What's his name? And maybe I'm getting more right now. I don't know. Fuck was that? Sorry. Anyway, it's not, my email's not showing it, but anyway, I appreciate you guys for doing that. It's really helping out. We're Matthew Zamora, I think is it. So appreciate that, man. $10, dude. You're balling out of control, man. I thank you for sharing some of that with us. So yeah, man, like I said, go to Patreon. Actually go to our website, fastlifegarage.com. You'll see a link for our Patreon. You also see a link for our YouTube if you can subscribe to that. And if you could, guys, man, like, don't be shy, man. Just share this shit on Instagram. Share it on Facebook. Let people know what you're listening to, because there's a lot of people that are kind of closet podcast listeners. And, you know, you kind of just got to kind of show people that you listen to it as well, and kind of open the floodgates for conversation between the different podcasts that you like and they might like, and blah, 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 blah. You know, I know. But anyway, it all helps us. It helps us grow this, just like you probably heard at the end of this podcast from me and Adam. You know, there's lots of big things that I want to start doing with this podcast, but you can't even park down here in downtown Dallas without paying for it. So, it sucks, man, the world we live in, but it is the world we live in, and it costs money. And I'm sure you spend more money doing other shit that's not that, it doesn't give you this much time, or it doesn't take up this much of your time, if that makes sense. But anyway, even if all you do is share it and show people you dig it, that speaks a lot to me, and it helps us out a lot, and we appreciate it, or whatever you want to look at it as. And 2 podcasts in 1 week, so I'm happy about that. Yeah, awesome, right? Had a little slow month last month, but we're picking back up. We're getting some good stuff back on, and we're going to keep trying to bring up more shit. So stay tuned, and don't forget to check out the past podcasts that you might not have listened to yet. And have a good weekend and all that groovy shit. Later, guys.